just pretend. I know that it has to end. Maybe we could just pretend.
From the front to the back, go. Now everybody from the front to the back, go, 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 now everybody from the front to the back, go. Don't stop the party. Don't stop the rave. 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 Can't feel my body, but don't stop the rave. Don't stop the party. Don't stop the rave. Can't feel my body, but don't stop the rave. Rave, 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 rave. Now everybody from the front to the back, go. From the front to the back, go, 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 now everybody from the front to the back, go. Don't stop the party. Don't stop the rave. Can't feel my body, but don't stop the rave. Don't stop the party. Don't stop the rave. Can't feel my body, but don't stop the rave.
face, hesitate to give me some. I'ma catch a murder case. On my clock, in this cop, mask on my face, hesitate to give me some. I'ma catch a murder case.
For the players out there, check out this dope shit, man.
Players another down, we getting paid. Another day, another dollar living in the bay. Hustling for my baby, trying to play in my escape. I ain't staying in the matrix where they trying to get my players. Players another down, we getting paid. Another day, another dollar living in the bay. Hustling for my baby, trying to play in my escape. I ain't staying in the matrix where they trying to get my players.
Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound, everybody get down. Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound, everybody get down when we give it to you. Around with the rhythm, it's a sound, the rhythm, it's a sound, with the rhythm, it's a sound, the rhythm, it's a sound. Get down, come on, get down. Get down, come on, get down. Get down, come on, get down.
I've got the techno on my mind, standing in the club all night. I gotta move my body, body, my body, body. Take the boy inside, getting in the bumpy road. I gotta move my body, body, my body, body. Techno on my mind, standing in the club all night. I gotta move my body, body, my body, body. Take the boy inside, getting in the bumpy road. I gotta move my body, body, my body, body. Feel it in my body. My dance moves flying away. When you
Three, two, one.
Welcome to another episode or another day of Arena Esports powered by It Is a Lot. Thank you so much to our strategic partner as well, AD Gaming and Playtonia Esports as our broadcast partners. Still with me, Burr Kim, and of course TDS once again back here. How are you doing?
Exactly. Last time I unluckily missed the opportunity to be here due to circumstances beyond my control and the internet was cut off. But this time around, I'm going to be able to be here and I'm excited to see the matches because we're going to have another round of invitational matches, another round of great matches between four teams that look quite interesting and hopefully we get a lot of near stuff mixed in.
Yep, yeah. Actually, last time you missed out on a couple of like exciting matches. It was a lot of like BO5s, a lot of tight matches, a lot of
Okay.
I would say they really used up that BO5, but now we're going to go back of course to our BO3s for today and we're going to be having four teams that will be playing today all in that BO3. So super exciting since the meta has changed ever since we started this broadcast up until now. So it's all about the supports right now. So let's see how the teams
Yep.
will adjust. But how about you, TDS? Anything you want to see today in particular? Anything that you're expecting here today? Since once again we're back to our VO3s.
It's kind of difficult to really call out any particular champion that I want to see. In particular, like I think there's quite a good amount of variety. Like you're pointing out the fact that the sports have been a bit more prevalent, and it feels like even in certain situations you can try and pull up like three or two or three in multiple positions to try and set up for your team, and then have your hyper carry play around that. That's a thing that I feel like teams may try and experiment with and maybe pull out. But BO3 being such a volatile way of going into a series, since you have very little opportunities to actually make the game work out for you, probably not going to be where we're going to see the biggest part of experimentation.
Yeah, BO3s, and today we're gonna be having, of course, we'll be flashing it later on what's gonna happen, our roadmap, and currently where we are right now, where we're standing, and where we're gonna go eventually. So yeah, today I think it's gonna be Arcantie Esports versus Void Esports. I think this was the one you missed out on last week, and Team Axe as well as Team
Yeah.
Revengers that will be playing today, of course, for a total prize pool of $1,200. First placer gets 650. Second placer gets 300, third placer gets 150, and the fourth placer will of course take home as well $100, $950 in cash, and $250 worth of Arena Esports points. So yep, go ahead and check out Arena Esports' page and website for more information.
And as we were talking about as well, here's the roadmap. The slide arrow over there to the right, to the left, you can see it. We're currently in the invitational qualifier where two teams will qualify to the quarterfinals qualifier and then try and reach the point of the playoffs. That's the overall attempt that most of these teams are going to go for, to reach that playoffs spot at the end of the roadmap. But currently, we're still in the second part of it. There's still quite a lot of time. There's still quite a lot of teams to try and go for it, to try and qualify for those playoffs. So there's a good amount of opportunities for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, this is you see we're already in the invitational qualifiers once again with two teams, open qualifiers, and eventually they go to the monthly finals, which actually you guys witnessed last time, and eventually we're gonna be heading over to the playoffs and grand finals. So wow, it's quite a roadmap here. But if you look at it or
Yep.
if you think about it, we're actually going pretty fast, TDS. Like we're already here in the second one, so I'm looking forward to seeing more teams come up here on Arena Esports. So if you guys need more information, if you guys want to have some more information about the tournament, or you guys want to join in, hop in on this tournament, go ahead and check out Arena Esports for more information.
Exactly. There's still a lot to check out, a lot to see, a lot to watch. And as you were mentioning last time, even though I wasn't here, it was the monthly finals, and there were a lot of interesting matchups to try and catch there. But even more so, the fact that there were teams that you can probably see later on in these qualifiers once again, just trying to reach that playoff spot. There's going to be opportunities for almost everyone, so there's a good chance we see some maybe repetition in some of the teams that are potentially going to be there. But as we're talking about the monthly qualifiers going on and how everyone is going to try and reach it, we are going to have today's matches, or we're going to show today's matches soon enough, and that's where we're going to stand today. The next monthly qualifier, or the next round of qualifiers for that monthly qualifier. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. A little bit of a tongue twister there, but yeah, it is quite hefty, and actually, a lot of teams have been participating as well. So I think some of the teams that didn't
Yep.
make it to the monthlies, they come back here on the weekly invitationals and hoping to get their chance once again to be able to get into that monthly finals and eventually head over into the playoffs because that's exactly what everybody wants. So we're
Yep.
now here in our second week, TDS. So if some of the teams failed to make it in the past weeks. I guess you guys can go ahead and try every week because this happens every time. So be sure to check our page, check out Arena Esports' social media platforms for more information about how you guys can join in or when we're gonna be having our live. I think we also have a couple of other titles here, TDS. So yeah, there's a lot going on here for Arena Esports. So be sure to check them out on their socials. So if not MLBB, there's other titles they actually hold live streams for.
Yeah, there's multiple games, there's multiple places to try and test your might in multiple other areas. And as we were talking about the schedule here, with our first match, Arcantie Esports against Boyd Esports, and then later today, Team Axe against Team Revengers. Like we were mentioning as well, the BO3 pretty much signalizes that it's going to be the BO3 for both of these matches. Should be quite interesting seeing how they are going to go. But focusing on the first one, Arcantie against Boyd Esports, I feel like even though I'm still trying to get back into the mix, there's still quite a few things that I want to see from most of these teams, and particularly the fact that are they going to try and develop their own meta, or are they going to try and fit into the current meta that a lot of the teams are playing? There's still current competitions going on, and I feel like they probably are taking a note out of those matches coming out.
hmm Yeah, actually, I think going to what you said about making their own meta, this is actually the best place to do it. But again, a BO3, there's just so many things that you can do, right? If it was a BO2, maybe
Yeah.
or maybe like only one match, there's it's do or die. But BO3, right? You have to at least get the momentum in the first game, and then eventually try to get in the second game and get in the series. So Arcantie, Void, these are not new names anymore in Arena Esports. Even Team Axon, Revengers. Some of you guys, if you guys have been tuning in to our live streams, these are some of the teams that are either well known in the MENA region or in other countries. On where we're at, they're actually super super popular. They're also very seasoned teams as well. So I am actually looking forward to see them here today in this BO3. So either TDS, we're gonna be casting 6 games if it all goes to like BO3 for the first series, BO3 for the second series. But if ever somebody does actually sweep the team, then we might actually have shorter matches here today. But you know what? I'm looking forward to see our teams here reverse sweeps. Very much possible in BO3s.
Exactly. There's always something that can end up happening with how most of these matches can go. Reverse sweeps are not that uncommon, especially in BO3s. I feel like the amount of play that you need to try and turn around the series is much lesser, since it's only 3 matches at most. So you can try and put your all into that second match and then try and reverse it. But talking about the potential length of the games, right? Since these are teams that maybe are closer in skill that we actually anticipate, could end up going like you're pointing out the whole way. But not only that, it could make it so that these games could go quite long in and of themselves. So that makes it even more interesting, because any sort of mistake can end up getting punished, and any sort of misplay that you pull off in any match can just be the defining factor in a lot of these games. Like, one mistake defines everything pretty much.
I don't know. Do you get so frustrated like that, TDS? Like, you already got the game in the bag. Say you got the most. Let's say you've
True.
been getting in that early game advantage, mid game up until late game, and then somebody makes a mistake in the last few minutes of the game, and it
Yep.
just completely turns everything, like the whole game around. So it does get very frustrating. And I think with the pacing as well of the game these days, it does happen. So I think the teams also have to figure that one out, right? Like, not to make any mistakes in the latter stages of the game. Make sure they work their way towards getting there. Because actually, TDS, we've seen a couple of really fast games, 10 minutes or even less here in Arena Esports.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there with that in mind, especially for the control, since there was a lot of teams that played around that super early action, just trying to dumpster the enemy team as much as possible really early on. Not only through the laning phase, but also just trying to get inside of the jungle and try and put as much pressure as possible on them. It's possible that we see those super short games if you're able to put the pedal to the metal and just immediately rush onto them. That being said, I feel like because of how much attention supports have been gaining so much, feels like there's much better chances that we end up seeing more team fights coming through later on. At the very least, around the 10-minute mark, where there's more potential for more items, more value out of the supports, and that way we see more team fighting. But I would love to see quick games as well and quick experimentation in it, especially if you're able to really dumpster the enemy team.
Yeah, would you rather see like a one-sided dominant game, or would you rather see something really nice and slow, very stretched out, like probably stretched out up until like 30 minutes? Like, because I've seen that in the broadcast where you weren't here. So I want to ask you that. Like, would
True.
you rather prefer like a landslide snowball game, or would you prefer it like it's more balanced out, like you can't tell who's gonna win?
So I'm a big fan of one-sided stumps in the first two games for both teams, and then the third game a super contested game. Okay, you get the best of both worlds. You get the landslide stump from both sides, and then you get a super close game that gets defined by one misplay. Like that's a perfect medium.
Nice. I actually thought you would have gone for a different answer, but I actually like how you put it. You get both. You get like really fast games and you get a really
Yeah.
slow game. But yeah, I don't know about today here. Void Esports is gonna be the first team in our match number one. They're gonna be going up against Arcantie Esports once again in a best out of three. And here we have it, our draft TDS and Void Esports on the blue side, and we have here, of course, the other team, which is Arcantie over on the red side. So we see a Novaria ban and a Nolan ban as well as a Valentine. So Nolan, one of the heroes that has been released recently and it's been doing so well. So most of the time, if this has been opened,
Yep.
high chances that teams get the win since it's still for me completely overpowered.
Time to drop the beat 'em
It's one of those cases where you release one of the newer heroes and nobody wants to play against it because you know it's really strong, and then pretty much it's completely permabanned. And it's funny because even though I do agree, more than likely you're probably going to lose if you leave it open. I feel like there's still so many underexplored strategies against it, and there's so many or very little information about how to even play with it or against it, since I feel like it's consistently banned. So I feel like there's probably good strategies to leave it open from time, but I understand the reason why most teams just end up banning it away.
Mhm. Yeah, Akai and the Joy, these are staple bans, but no one's banning away any
Yep.
of the supports. So this means that the Rafaela, the Angela, either or these could actually slip up in the draft. Final ban. I usually see like when you're on the red side, people usually ban the Terizla because sometimes teams actually go for that for their first pick. Great CC. Very good side laner. I would say S tier as of the moment. So yeah, if this is gonna be the case, either this team will actually ban away like either support or maybe even an XP laner, which teams really are going for first right now.
Like you're pointing out, the fact that we've seen so little focus towards the support bands, it's surprising. But I do understand also the reasoning if you want to say like, okay, we are willing to trade you this strong support for this strong support, like one for tit for tat, and try and play towards what you like to go for. With the Angela getting selected here, one of the stronger ones, 100%.
Hmm. Yeah, there you have it. Immediately, the supports are gonna get picked up here, and I believe that
Yep.
these, I think if you're on the red side, right, it's either you pick it up or you ban it away. So I guess they chose to let all of these supports go. Sometimes actually the teams go for double supports. I'm not so sure if this is gonna be the case for Void. Sometimes you see like an Angela Faramis or maybe even a Matilda Faramis over in the mid. Iritel could be picked up here as well as Void hovering over a Hilda. I'm not so sure if that's gonna be the choice, but yeah, this actually does make more sense.
Yeah, the Matilda. I like Matilda overall. I think that a really good balance, especially with the backshot. I think that they make a really nice mix there for team fighting and how you want to go for certain picks as well. So not against those duos. as much as possible. And then the Irithel, I think, one of the most consistent carries so far. Like it feels like at this point one of the better ones that you can get, and one of the most consistent ones when it comes to team fighting as well. Also, as a blind pick, is really really good.
I would rather betray the
Ooh, yeah, I like this pick coming out from Arcantie. Not so sure why Void did not pick this up. One of the strongest XP laners after it was buffed. This
Yep.
is gonna be the M5 skin, by the way. So last two bans here for both sides. I believe there's still no mid laners. Again, there's still no call
Nope.
on like um whether these supports are gonna be like a mid laner, like a magic damage support, or are they gonna be like the roamers? So that might actually just be yeah, the question here for both sides. But they're taking away gold laners here for the side of Void since yeah, Arcantie hasn't picked up their gold laner yet. And yeah, Brody, one of the rising gold laners as of the moment.
And also following up with the expert, pretty consistent, I would say, on those bans coming through. And then the Broly, like you're mentioning, one of the carries that you can really try and play around with. I think one of the other carries that you can kind of pick line, and it doesn't feel like it's going to get as punished. There's certain matchups maybe, but in general it doesn't feel like it's going to get as punished. And at the end that you're just taking it away and being sure that nothing wrong will go through with the last ban coming in with the Lunox. And now what do they really want to take here? I probably think they go for their carry and try to leave their counter pick or their last pick just in case. Yep, Bruno coming through.
Ooh, Bruno. I'd say it's just fair pick. Really dishes out so much damage in the late game, especially yeah, once you get farmed up pretty well. So now we see like a very solid front line for the side of Arcantie. A lot of shields here, care of the Matilda, and the zone out the backlines, meaning the Iratel and the Angela here. So now we see Void hovering over this Martis. I do believe they still need some magic damage here. Or, yeah, I think the Angela might go to the roam position, so they still do need someone in the mid lane. But if this is going to be the case, wow, so it's going to be a mid lane Angela and a Minotaur on the roam position. So now what's left to take here for the side of Arcantie? They need the magic damage apart from the Matilda if ever this is going to be the mid laner. So either we've seen a Faramis combo, so be the thing here.
Quite an interesting decision making at the end there. And now with the last one, you're mentioning the Faramis, right? I feel like it actually could end up coming through, but I'm not sure if you want to go for it. Even if you're lacking still some damage over there in the mid lane, probably want to follow tit for tat in that sense. Like, do something similar to what Boyd did and try and just outplay them.
Ooh,
It's going to be
spot on for me.
okay.
'Cause
Yeah,
I've seen
they
this combo. I've
called on
really
the
seen this
Faramis.
combo.
To live.
Yeah, I mean, because I've seen this combo, right? If your opponents are gonna dive, they have damage. What better way to actually sustain all of that damage? You got the Matilda, you got for that second life with the Nether Realm, but this is gonna be the case.
Yeah.
Looking at the composition here, TDS, I'm expecting that there's gonna be a lot of team fights here because so much mobility for both sides.
Yeah, I was mentioning like going tit for tat with what Boyd was going to try and do and maybe answer equally without going for the Faramis. But technically speaking, Faramis does fit into that idea of going into the team fights as well, right? Like you can still go into multiple team fighting with the Faramis and still be able to play into the idea that Boyd wanted to go for. So overall, not obviously not the worst of decisions there. And then in that sense, the trying to play for team fights, I feel like it's not a bad idea in general, but it does get its risks because one, like we were mentioning, it does mean that maybe we're going to see a game that is going to try and go for at the very least a bit longer, and that means that one mistake really could just change everything up here. So the teams have to be extra careful about how they front or try and go for certain fights.
Yeah, my worry here is gonna be how aggressive are these XP laners gonna be because looking at their Uranus, you can pretty much say that it is still pretty squishy in the start of the game. It does not have any items just yet. And now let's see how Ronix will deal with this Uranus that can really soak up all the damage once it comes to the late game. But yeah, we're seeing standard rotations here. The mid lane the mid laners rather, going over to the XP lane to get that level 2 before they go over to the mid lane, which gives them a little bit more room to rotate around the gold later on. But we're seeing Abo here on the Uranus, being very bold there, actually.
Oh, really good
Just
collapse.
tanking up all the damage, but not for long. And there we have it. Arcantie draws in the first blood. That was a bit too bold, right? Like what I was saying. The Uranus does not have any items yet at this point.
And doesn't have any support, although they are trying to make a bit onto the damage here. Really nice pullback, but it's not going to turn into anything. And following up on that, it's not only the fact that the Uranus doesn't have the items to actually play around this, but he was also trying to push too far forward when on the minimap there's no one nearby to really try and support that sort of aggressive movement, whereas Arcantie immediately recognize this, move around as a unit, and they are able to collapse into the Uranus and take him down really quickly. Ooh, a ward. Oh, that is
There's
close
the
there.
Realm almost being popped. Yeah, too close for comfort, I would say. There's no level 4s just yet for Arcantie and even Void, so I think everyone was just a little bit too hesitant to take in that clash. And now here comes the first turtle of the game, TDS. This is very vital for the teams to take, especially since you need this to scale up. And so far, Void Esports, right? Their XP laner was just taken down, taken taken in earlier, so it's gonna be such a struggle to bounce back from that. If this momentum heats up for Arcantie, they might actually just get in the items, or they might just get a snowball here if ever that does happen. But we're seeing Awad actually starting up this turtle already at half HP, but Kenji, he's gonna be a little bit fast. He's
Kenji.
actually just gonna roll right in. And here you have it. Turtle, who's going to be able to take it? Heart Guard has
Oh,
been
they
up,
got
and
a
Awad
turtle.
will be able to steal the turtle. And now we see Naze Jr. going in for the knockup, but it's not enough. Mio as well, all alone there, forced to flicker out to safety as Arcantie. They still win the trade-offs. They still win that fight, despite the fact that Void was able to steal that turtle.
Yeah, the turtle is collected, so at the very least you can say that Boyd has a bit of a victory in that slight fight, but the team fight going completely against them, Arcantie forcing it really nicely and keeping so much control of it, because they initially lost the control over the terrain. They didn't really have the initial engage potential there over where they wanted to go, but their way of team fighting was really nicely set up, and you can see the duo there with the backshit just being able to rush in really effectively and be followed up really effectively as well as soon as possible.
Yeah, we see that Arcantie, this is a composition that's willing to take in the dives that Void is gonna do, because they got a Fire Mist. They got that Nether Realm for that extra sustain, despite, and also the fact that they have Matilda here. Raven already with 2 kills here on the Matilda. And now we see that Arcantie, they are on a 700 gold lead, almost going to 1k, but it's not that much just yet. They hear of the
No.
fact that Void actually took in that turtle, but we have to actually see what's going down there over on the gold lane, because later on,
Ronix.
those are the ones who will be having the damage later on. We're starting to see some engage here, but the T's actually going to be backing away because Turtle's going to be spawning in just a few seconds. With Arcantie, they're looking really good right now.
Yeah, but forcing out a bit out of Ronix, making him not be as valuable for potential fight over that turtle as soon as it spawns. Although going for Mia and actually taking, oh, that is so close, almost killing Mio there, but this will secure them positioning for that potential turtle fight.
Turtle is going to be started this time by Arcantie. Kenji already starting it up here. We see Raven and Smile as well going
Can they
in
secure it?
for the assist here, but wow, okay, they're actually gonna back away because there's a hard guard here.
We lost control,
from
yeah.
Void Esports and Awad. Yeah, once again, we'll be picking up that turtle. And Kenji now
Ooh.
punishing Naze Jr. And we see a lot of sustains, a lot of heals, but it is gonna be Smile picking up that double kill, popping in that Nether Realm just in the nick of time. Beast as well going in for Pharaoh. Is he gonna be able to survive?
It's just one more.
Flickers in and gets the kill. 4 kills for Arcantie and none for Void Esports. They have been taking the turtle CDS, but is that enough? Because that's 2k already going to the side of Arcantie, cleanly doing their job in those team fights.
Well, it's a great consolation prize because at the very least you get something. But in general, I was about to comment for how they were going to take the turtle and how they ended up taking it because we need to remember they forced previously Ronix's ultimate, and that way they to set up fortified. Wait a sec though, Nasiak. Oh, they get another one.
Yep. They're gonna take
And it's
down
even more the
Nace
Bruno is
Jr.
so strong.
Yeah, I mean, despite the fact that Beast does not have any mana, he's been taking out this Minotaur. And what's making it really hard is Nace Jr. has been bursted down before he could even make any setups. He had a
Yeah.
really good one earlier in the turtle pit, but there was no follow-up, there was no damage just yet because we're talking about supports here on the mid lane. I'm talking about the Paramis here, I'm talking about Mio on
Exactly.
the Angela, but we haven't seen Mio shine just yet. And now we see that Arcantie, they're actually setting things up here on the bottom side. Abo does not know that Smile and Raven are here on this push. Although he's a Uranus, will he be able to survive? And then he gets spotted out. So lots of pressure here from Arcantie over on the top side.
Probably not going to be the easiest target to try and burst out immediately, and they are trying to look maybe a bit around it to set up for a potential kill there. But I do want to put a little bit more focus onto Smile, onto that Fire Maze, because so far a lot of the team fights feel like there's good engages coming in for Void, but the value out of the Fire Maze is really just outplaying a lot of those fights. Like when you expect something to end up going your way or a kill to go your way, it's immediately the Fire Maze that turns that around completely, and the turtle is going to get stolen again.
Oh,
Yeah.
still gonna go to the side of Void, but this time it's gonna be Abo picking that up. There's the
But
Nether
again-
Realm, and Ronex taking down a Wad, and now Nice Junior gonna be the next one to fall. He gets the Circling Eagle, and of course Ronex joins the party. And that's gonna be still Arcantie. Wow, diving in on the towers. There's still a turret here, mind you. They're gonna be backing away. Lots of
GG.
damage coming out from Fair, and now they might get punished. There's the
Oof.
shields from Raven, and they are able to escape once again. No kills for Void Esports here. At this point, they're so good at stealing these objectives. The Turtles have all gone to Void Esports, but they haven't been winning the clashes.
We're reading this all wrong, Burger. It's not that they are taking away the turtles, it's that they are giving them up so that then they can take the team fight. That's how it feels like, because every time a turtle is attempted to be stolen or attempted by Void, they lost the ensuing team fight. And once again, it's because the setup, it feels like it's much better by Arcantie. Yes, they lost the turtle, but the commitment that goes into taking that turtle, then it becomes set up for Arcantie to just be able to outplay them in the team fight. And Paramis is doing so much in those fights. 1 kill short of 100 kill participation.
Yep. I mean, this guy has been so relevant ever since
Kenji.
he was our revamp, and now still relevant despite the nerfs that was given to him. And there's so many ways to disengage here. Look at going in for the backside. Pharaoh's the first one to fall, and now they don't have any damage. It's gonna rely on Mio here. They're not even gonna commit towards the Heart Guard, and Awad actually forced to just push the turrets on the bottom side so that Void Esports can actually take something in this game, because they haven't been taking any turrets, they haven't been winning the clashes, so the best that Awad can do is actually take in the turrets here, so at least Void Esports can have a little bit more breathing space, because they're not getting any right now. Beast already out of killing spree here. You can see the damage coming out from the Bruno here, and yeah, Arcantie is gonna go straight for that Lord. Genji gonna see starting it up, as well as the rest of the members of Arcantie, but Void, it's gonna be really dangerous if they contest for this one.
Yeah, and in comparison with the turtles, there's no shot that this is going to be attempted to be stolen. There's so much control by the side of Arcantie. They have the Bruno, like you were mentioning, such a big carry, and now joining in on the potential fight, going to play around everyone. It's going to be such a dangerous situation for Void. They need to try and recoup, find one pick, find something in their favor to try and make the team fight work out their way, because if not, if they just face a straight 5v5, they are not going to find the value that they are looking for. It's looking like potentially they're going to even struggle to get that 1 kill.
Yeah, 4 deaths already for Naze Jr. He hasn't been able to set things up here, despite the fact that his kit will actually give the Faramis a hard time. Here comes the first Lord of the game. Arcantie will be knocking in the doors here of Void Esports.
Oh, Raven.
That's going to be the first turret to, taken down. Awad going in for the Decimate. He still survived with 1 HP. Naze once again goes for the nice setup, but there's so
Naze
much
dies
sustain.
again.
Beast dishing out so much damage. Here comes the Black Dragon form. It's gonna be a 4v5 situation. And they end this one. Arcantie, they're looking to take in the first game. And it is gonna be over.
Yeah,
Arcantie takes in game number one.
Arcantie in such a dominating fashion in this first game. They didn't secure any turtle, but it didn't matter at all. They won every fight that they could. They didn't even give up any kills. I'm pretty sure nobody died in that game. Such a good game coming in from Arcantie. And
Perfect
now
game.
looking at the second one, or it's such a dominating game that looking at the second one, you have to be really, really careful about what you're going to try and take away and what you're going to try and ban from them.
Yeah, I think what really made it hard here for for Void Esports rather, what made it really hard for them is they they did have the Minotaur, right, to deal with the Faramis.
Yeah.
After the Netherrealm has been popped, it's over. He goes in for the setup, but there's no follow up. There's no damage. They don't really have that much AOE as compared to Beastus Bruno that scaled up pretty well as compared to Pharaoh. So congratulations to Arcantie for playing this out really well. And it was actually TDS. I think this was a perfect game for them. No deaths at all for anyone, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they lost one turret though. I think they lost one
Yeah,
turret,
just
so
one
that's why
turret.
I wasn't calling the perfect game. But technically speaking, it should be nobody dies.
Yeah. It's actually a very clean game, I would say, for all of the players here of Arcantie.
100%.
And they played it out really well. I think I have to point out, though, the Minotaur was a little bit... I guess they were trying to counter the draft here of Arcantie, but it was so hard. He had like 4 or 5 deaths for the Minotaur in that entire game.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Like the idea of the Minotaur, I don't think was necessarily the wrong one, but it feels like since the start of it, every time that they were looking to try and set up, even if they secured a turtle, for example, they committed things that the Minotaur wanted to have for the ensuing team fight. And in that sense, then you're kind of handicapping yourself because your cooldowns are so crucial for them. The Minotaur never really got the right setup. The team was always kind of forcing themselves into the turtle, which, don't get me wrong, securing the turtle is fine, but you need to understand that there's timings for what you want to secure and what you want to do after that. And I think that they did one part right. They didn't did the second part of that right. And every time that they didn't do the second part right, it was perfect for Arcantie to just try and secure their team fights however they wanted.
Yeah, and you know what? I think Arkansas was a little bit less aggressive once the Angelus ultimate has been up. So like once they have the hard card
Yep.
there, everyone just backs away. Even Kenzie, right? Like you're the one soaking up the damage. They backed away from the turtle, which actually I think I think Void actually took in all the turtles. The last one was stolen by Abo, the Uranus of Void. But other
Yeah,
than that, it was all
actually, yeah.
it was all Void Esports. It's weird, right? Like the gold actually balances out. Even though you're losing clashes, the turtle at least gives you a little bit more XP, a little bit more gold. But you know what? Void just completely, um, ignore the fact that there's still team fights here, and the team fights have always been won by Void Esports. Let's take a look at this replay here, our
Yep.
highlights for this game number 1, and let's take a look at what happened here, TDS.
Yeah, and you can see the turtle already dying here. It feels like maybe with the overcommitment from Arcantie was going to be too much, but they just turn it around, and the Minotaur is always there stepping forward. But he's just getting collapsed on really, really quickly. The setup doesn't feel that good because he's going kind of by himself. And then when the rest of the team is ready to respond for Arcantie, they don't actually give them enough of an opportunity to actually play it out really, really well. And once again, we called it out, or we talked about it quite a bit in draft, and it performed amazingly well in the game, and it's that Faramis. Every fight that also wanted to be played for Void was almost always immediately counter-arrested by how much value this Faramis has. They give multiple fights in a row, he just is there, perfectly healing, positioning really well for the team, providing them enough survivability that it doesn't really matter, even if they get a good engage. Because even if Nice
Yeah.
tried to go for the engages, which sometimes worked out, but there's simply not enough follow-up and damage to make them work out because that Faramis is existing. So huge props to Smile for how they play that.
Yeah, this was the part where they almost got taken down. Someone would have been taken down there, but the shields from, of course, the Matilda played a really, really big factor here for Void Esports. And we see this, I think with just one Lord, right? They were able to take in the crystal here of Void Esports. I mean, this is a Bruno, right? That
Yeah.
has been, you've seen all the basic attacks dishing out so much damage. This is once again, I'd like to commend the Nice Junior here for setting things up once again for Void. But then again, everyone backs away. Either everyone backs away because they're really low, and then they aren't able to answer to the setup being made there by the Minotaur. But other than that, right, Arcantie just played so well in this game. The timings as well of the ultimate, the Black Dragon form, and the Nether Realm was actually key to why Arcantie won this game.
Yeah. It was really crucial in how most of the fights wanted to go for. And I feel like this was kind of the perfect showcase of the kind of game you want to have when you're in the gold lane as a gold laner, right? Where you just farm pretty comfortably, you don't have to force anything weird, and then when you reach the team fighting spot, your art attacks are just going to completely destroy the enemy team. He even was part, funnily enough, though, of a couple of fights. We saw the fight for the turtle on the bottom side, and he was able to get a good amount of value because he got a couple of assists and kills in that play, and that just accelerated him even more. But the team was playing all around so well that the Bruno never really needed to do anything, and as long as was positioned well enough, could really carry the fight.
Yeah, I think what really worked out here for Beast to be able to get that 404 was because of what his teammates did. I'm talking about everyone else other
Yep.
than the Bruno here. It's because they gave him so much space in the early
Yeah,
stages. Like what
exactly.
I mentioned, right? Like we have yet to check what's happening in the gold lane. And so far, Beast has been able to pick up Maleficor much earlier than Pharaoh, right? They're only one item away from each other. So it just goes to show that that even though Void has been getting in the turtles, Arcantie was able to answer out by winning in all of the team fights, which is exactly why we are here in the spot. 13-0 for Arcantie in game number one.
Yeah, not a bad first game for Arcantie, if you ask me. Really dominating, really controlled, going towards what we were talking about before about how we want to see these games. The first one, complete stump to a certain degree by Arcantie. Maybe the second one is going to be that case for Boyd. But at this point now, Boyd needs to find answers to what we saw from Arcantie. And particularly, I like the idea that they were looking for in terms of the team fight, but the issue is that you need to be able to play around with certain amounts of damage. And if you're not going to have damage join fight until the later portions of the game, you have to look for other kind of plays. And I feel like they never really tried to do that. So I'm looking at if they're going to change their pick and ban phase particularly, and also if they're going to change any bans, because I think that maybe that Yushang should be looking into.
Yeah, I think the thing about picking up the Yuzong, right? Like Ronex was able to dive really well into the back lines, which is the
Yeah.
reason why Mio and Pharaoh have always been the ones out first. And you actually need those two to be able to do the team fights that you want to
Yep.
happen, right? Without any of the damage, you're not able to do anything in the team fights, and that's exactly what Arcantie capitalized on in that game number one, and it just worked so well. They gave so much artillery to the side of Argentina. I mean, giving away a Faramis, a Matilda, and the Yuzong to them, it just enabled them so much in that game. I don't think it was even the
Yep.
Bruno wasn't even a factor there. It was just the
He
Yuzong
was
and the
there.
Matilda and the Faramis, just the ones leading the charge in the first few minutes of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you have the diving potential, and not only that, you have the diving partner with the Yusheng as well, the backshine, the Yusheng going in onto that backline really effectively. But then you have that safety net from the Faramis because you know that nothing bad is going to happen when you have the champion close by. It's really easy to make everything work out as we see the second game starting with the second round, with the first round of bans coming through, and pretty consistent in a way.
Ah, finally, they finally acknowledge that early game of the Matilda that just really
Yep.
enabled Arcantie to be able to go in and out of the clash so fast, so much shields, and with the Flash of the Oasis, it just really works so well. This is one of the top band heroes, and I think for Arcantie, they actually there's no difference in their bands for this round. So now we see that Void they actually took away two of the support heroes, which means that looking at the draft here, the Novaria is up for grabs here, and without the Valentina, that's not gonna be any problem. Or they can actually pick up something else like a Terizla to go first I think the Trizzle is also a very flexible pick. So Fredrin was also picked banned away earlier. So either they can start out with that, but of course the Novarius poke, the Novarius kit is just so good to ignore right now. And they're gonna be picking that up first. I talked about the Fredrin that was banned away earlier, and now Void is gonna be picking it up themselves.
The Fredrin not going to be a bad choice to try and play around with. A lot of value for the team in general, and does give you good opportunities to make team fights go your way, especially if you're able to find certain pairings with it that it can work really effectively. Now, because there were two support bands, there's going to be a bit lesser of an attempt at going for the pool, but in general, there's still good options to try and pair up with this Fredrin to get the most out of the team fight.
Mm-hmm. Are they gonna go for the Yuzong here? That's two power picks, or the Terizla. But
No.
you know what? They completely ignored all of that. They actually really acknowledged the capability, the kit of the Faramis earlier. So these two heroes already instant burst. Instant, sorry, not instant burst, but more of like dives. Like Void really wants to go for the dives here with the Faramis, right? And now
Yep.
with the range of the Novaria, they need someone to actually have that early game as well. Someone that can pick up the tempo of the Faramis and the Fredrin in the early game. So the Tirisla, I did mention it, that could have been picked up by Void, and now they actually pick it up themselves. One of the best, I would say, in the XP lane as of the moment, next to the Yuzong. So are they going to be picking up their gold laner here for the side of Arcantie, or are they going to be revealing it later on? Yep, it's actually the standard case, right? This is pretty much straightforward from the side of Arcantie.
Yep.
The roles have already been dictated here. It's a mid lane, the gold laner, and the XP lane. But here's the thing: the Faramis is still not
And
yet confirmed. This is gonna be a roam or a mid, and Void actually closes it out with their own gold laner pick as well, the Brody. So now this is gonna be the case. More of the jungler ban. So I'm guessing like maybe a Martis ban coming through here for Void. And as for the side of Arcantie, they need to ban away either an XP laner, probably the Yuzong that can reach the Nuvaria, or maybe ban away maybe another mid laner, because it's still unconfirmed where this Faramis is gonna go.
yeah. And I find it interesting because the decision here for Boyd was going to be either securing the Brody or securing the Yuzong. In the previous game, they were the ones that banned the Brody in the second rotation after picking their Airedale. So pretty much knowing that that could be the risk about going for the Airedale pick on the other side, and at the end they secure their own gold laner. And I think it's pretty straightforward. You have to take away some of the XP to try and not allow for the risk on your carries, like you were mentioning, and if possible, get a really good support to just have value with the Teresa as much as possible. I feel like.
Ooh, yeah, they definitely need like CC to deal with the Faramis. I would say that the Minotaur is still a pretty good pick here, but there's just I guess there's the taunts from the Fredrin, and if you get hit by the Brody's basic attacks here, it's gonna completely shred you apart before you can even do anything. But they still do need some CC here. I'm thinking something along the lines of Atlas, Krufra would do so well here for the side of
Rakaya.
Arcantie. So either or, right? These heroes, they need to be taken
Yeah.
care of. And is Void gonna take away another jungler option here for Kenji? The Baksha has been used earlier, and it's so good up against the Faramis and the Fredrin anti-heal. So they're either gonna have to deal with the jungler or the roamer here.
Yeah, the Kaya taking away from that amount for that CC that we were talking about, and I think pretty smart knowing what you have on your side. Not gonna lie, but the back is still open, like you were mentioning, and I feel like that is going to be a bit of a risk unless they take them for themselves and try and play around that elsewhere. That could also be another option, trying to flex around with that backshot themselves.
Minotaur will finish off what was left
Ooh,
undone.
they actually take away the Minotaur themselves, actually gearing up for the fact that, yeah, the Minotaur could be a problem for them, especially since there's a Faramis there. So there's that additional sustain once they do the dives. Although I do like this lineup from Arcantie. They have a good amount of range and a good amount of AoE. But on the other side, though, we have Void Esports. They got a good amount of sustain and burst damage once it comes to the late game. So now they still do need that roamer. They still need that XP laner. And I think a usual would still be very good to deal with the Novaria and that Uritel on the back
Ooh.
lines. This is also another pick, a lesser a lesser popular choice these days because it's more of like a export,
Yep.
it's more of the user, and now wow, super mobile from the side of Arcantie, and Void actually gonna be closing it in with that Edith. So it's gonna be a roamer Edith. I'm just a little bit worried that their damage is gonna heavily rely on. I think to some point it's gonna be the Edith, but it's gonna rely on the Brody. If you think about it, right? Once
Yep.
Pharaoh or Mio is not still the same thing as team number one, it's gonna be really hard for Void to win in all those team fights. But I think this time it's looking much better because they do have the Pheromones in this matchup.
Yeah, I would say the difference maker here is going to be how much can you last on the side of Void, right? Because if the Brody is going to be the one that is going to provide you with the biggest amount of damage, you want to have enough time for him to get that damage down. So at the very least, this time around, their team fight's probably going to be long enough that the Brody can try and carry them. That being said, it is kind of similar to the previous composition that they run in the previous game. And if they don't have answers to the maybe onslaught that Arcantie are going to try and look for, can be a bit risky. Also, surprised that we didn't see the Edith at all hovering in the previous game. I feel like the champion is still in a good enough spot that you can actually play around with it, and it does provide enough value for your team. But overall, I think Arcantie going out with a lot of things that they wanted 100% to try and play this game.
Yeah, I like to see that pick also from Nace Jr. Earlier played a Minotaur, which was really difficult, right? The Edith has a lot more control, and
Yeah.
I think it's also one of the most overlooked heroes, even up until this day. One of the best XP laners, I would say, that can go head to head with the Lapu Lapu. I would say. I think at this point, like some teams actually prefer to use it as their roamer, right? Flicker, get that onwards onto someone. You can actually have a pick off, but now we see Arcantie. They're being very aggressive here, and there you have it, the
Wait.
onwards. He popped here by Nace, but
Ronex.
Ronex is gonna be able to sustain all of the damage. There's Raven with that Rafaela, and they're gonna be bouncing away with no deaths at all. No first blood being drawn just yet because they're extra careful in this game, and they're not going to be willing to make the same mistake as they did in the first game where Abo was actually kicked off quite early.
Sadly, they are not going to be the ones paying the price in a similar fashion to what happened with it in the previous game. They were able to take away, if I'm not wrong, a bit of the camp, so able to take a nice enough lead at this point. And even though it's not a big lead, already trying to put pressure onto what Void wants to try to achieve and set themselves up as best as they can.
There's so much pressure as well on the XP. Like Smile hasn't left that lane. He just reached level 3. So he's been camping out there for quite some time, making sure that Ronex is able to gear up before the turtle fight. And speaking of, there is Kenji. Gonna be starting up this turtle once again. Let's see if Void Esports can manage to get that steal because level 4's... Oh wait, Awad's not even level 4 yet. So Arcantie, they're just one level ahead here. Actually make that 2 levels ahead for Kenji. He's
He's
already
really
level
strong.
5, but yep, you see that Void Esports, they're actually
Nice.
putting away a lot of resources. Flicker, there's the Nether Realm to be able to sustain, but there's Ronex
It's
with
not
the
going to be
backup
enough.
and Nace Jr. First one to fall, Kenji as well. That's gonna be a double kill for Ronex. He's still gonna go at it, and the rest of the members here of Void Esports, they pack away a 2-for-1 trade. I'd say in favor of Arcantie. They took down 2. They were able to respond to the aggression, the initiation that Void Esports was able to do, and now they actually win that fight. So again, the turtle is gonna be the main target here.
Oh,
Gonna be
Ronex
the
alone?
main, yeah, gonna be the main target. But Ronex, he's all alone, and he's gonna get punished there as Smile is not gonna be able to save him once again. As Void Esports, they pick up a kill, and they're gonna go straight towards this turtle. I think Kenji's gonna be willing to let that one go, although I think the rest of the members here of Arcantie, they're gonna be trying to contest this turtle. Not so sure though. There's a holy baptism. Awad picks up that turtle. Void Esports, they are looking a little bit better here as compared to game number 1.
Yeah, 100%. Much better start. Already getting kills is way better than what happened in the previous game for them as well. And Baxia wasn't even close by to try and contest the turtle, so it was going to be really difficult to actually get anything going. And the team fight there before that we saw where they were able to kind of contest between themselves. Oh, well, the team fight there that we saw contesting between themselves, it wasn't really a bad team fight when you think about it. It's just that the Pyramids really was in the best spot possible, and they kind of got caught out of position really quickly. But as soon as they were able to find a couple of picks already back into a really comfortable spot in the game, they have the gold lead, even if it's really, really slight, and they also get the first turtle once again. They are doing a really good job at keeping control of those turtles in both games.
Yeah, so I think at this point we have to figure out how, or Arcantie actually has to figure out how they will deal with the Faramis in clashes, because it seems like that is the problem, right? Once the Nether Realm is up, everyone just doesn't know what to do, and if you don't have that hard CC, like I think at this point their only CC or their hard CC is gonna have to be Ronex's Terizla. Other than that, they don't
Yeah.
really have much. It's only the Rafaela of Raven there to have that holy baptism, but again, that's not a lot, right? As compared to having like an Atlas's Fatal Links or having that Kufra's Tyrant's Revenge. So it's really different, right? So
Yeah.
we're talking about supports here, and again, the sustain is just too much here as of the moment from Void Esports. So if they can keep up their momentum here, they took the first turtle and they've been winning the clash. I think this just stops the bleeding as compared to game number one, where it just landslide fireball, snowball for the side of Arcantie there.
Exactly, like you're mentioning, the previous game it was only in the snowball rolling as big as it could and pretty much stomping on everything in its way. This time around, it's going to be a bit more contested, it feels like, since even though there's a lead for the side of Void, it's still pretty close. Like, there's nothing really set in stone. They have good amounts of control, they have good amounts of team fight that they can go for, but there's also tools for the side of Arcantie to really try and set themselves up in the team fight. Particularly, yes, even though it's a lot on the Terizla CC to try and get things going, they have high burst damage coming in on their side. Like, they can actually try and pick up someone, burst them out, and then try and play the team fight with the numbers advantage. That's something that they can try and look for that I feel like the side of Void may not respect enough, and then out of nowhere they are down a member without really being able to play the team fight accordingly.
Mhm. Yeah, I think at this point, the damage dealers here for the set of Arcantie are still picking up their items, right? So they aren't really willing to go
Yeah.
to the for those team fights, which is actually why Void Esports has been forcing out these team fights, right? The Faramis, they got the Faramis, they really don't have much to worry about. They also got the Brody here that deals a decent
Yep.
amount of damage in the early game. So we're gonna have to wait and see how they will play it out here for Arcantie, because Void Esports, they're catching up real quick here, and so far, early start of the game, it was a bit different this time because they've been winning the clashes as compared to game number one. They were able to pick up the turtle, but the team fight they lost it. So
Yeah, overall, it's still a difficult spot to be in as Void, and even though they are doing really, really good right now, they are finding good plays to make it work. It's still really early on in the game, obviously, but also they have the added pressure that they are behind a game in this series. Like, they need to be the ones to find the right medium for this game, because if not, they're going to lose it out. They are the ones with the back against the wall, the back against the wall, and they need to be able to execute accordingly to it. As we see the current score, yep, Arcantie winning it as of now with the 1-0 score. Still enough for Boyd to try and turn it around, but they need to find these sort of plays and set themselves up for success.
yeah, because so far 1-0. So if Arcantie is actually already on their match point, so if they win this one, it is going to be them moving forward here in our invitationals for our second week. But if Void
Yep.
Esports manages to snag this game away from them, they can actually force it out to a game number three. So again, it's still too early to tell here. Once we pause the game, it was more of yeah, both sides, the two kills, slight advantage towards Void Esports since they got in the turtle. So again, we still have to wait for the call here from our producers to find out what will happen next. But we're currently on a technical pause here for both sides, and we have yet to see what will happen. Again, a BO3 here in our match number one between Arcantie and Void Esports. We still have, I think, TDS, we still have our match here. Still the same format. It's still a BO3, which
Yeah.
will be happening later on. You guys will be seeing Team Axe as well as Team Revengers, not
Nemesis?
Avengers, but
Yeah,
Revengers, that will be playing later on. Still, again, in a best out of three. So stay tuned for that. And yep, we'll find out after this game. But you know what? BO3s, these are the types of games that it is just so easy um, too easy to adjust TDS. I mean, you see the adjustment of Void Esports. They banned away all the supports, right? They banned away the Angela, they banned away the Matilda because Arcantie was on the blue side. They did pick up the Novaria, but it was very costly because they gave away the Faramis and they also gave away the Fredrin. Two power picks to Void Esports. Let's see if they can keep this momentum up.
And talking, like, keeping up the talk with the BO3 as well in mind, the fact that they quickly not only changed the sides to try and set themselves up for better success, but like you're talking about, the fact that they attacked the power points that it felt like in the previous game were kind of impactful with that, with both with the Matilda and the Angel Band, trying to take away from the value of those champions, and then setting themselves up for a pretty similar approach, but trying to improve on the things that they were slightly behind in terms of the team composition. Like, because we talked about this when the draft ended. The composition from Void is pretty similar to the one in the previous game, but they tried to cover up the slight deficiencies that were up in the previous game. Like, for example, having that Faramis to provide more value for the Brody later on. It's more so they will be able to now teamfight more effectively, and they will allow themselves or allow the Brody to be in a better spot to try and carry around. Something that in the previous game Arcantie did, this time around Boyd now did with a Faramis pick.
No, I think the Faramis, even though it's not like the support that's affected by the new item, the Blast of the Oasis,
Yeah,
it's still pretty relevant, right? Like when you want to have that dive setup, it really works so well. And I think it really boils down to what kind of playstyle you want to execute. Void, as far as we've seen in game number 1, they are the aggressive type of players, right? They were willing to do the dives, they were willing to go in for to all those clashes, but yeah, they just it was really difficult for them in game number 1 because they didn't really have that much to deal with the Faramis plus the shields of the Matilda. I think it was just too much to give away to Arcantie, but this time I think with the Faramis in the hands of Void Esports, if they give the space here to the Brody, it's gonna be so fast in pushing the towers, right? As compared to the Iratel that still needs at least like probably like 3 or 4 more core items before it is able to dish out the damage. But let's see if Void Esports can keep this up. But I like what I mentioned, right? If the Faramis is out, if the Brody is out, Void Esports is not really gonna have that much damage, right? The Fredrin is built to be more
exactly.
towards the tanky type of build. The XP later as well is built to be a little bit more tanky, right? So not really on the damage side. So we're gonna have to heavily rely on the fact that they have to protect their damage dealers here for Void.
And it's going to be, or at the very least, I want to add onto the Faramis point, because one thing that it's funny to me in a lot of cases that I feel like teams, when there's slight changes in items or things like that, like they focus so much on that particular change that they kind of forget the whole panorama. And it's not that it's a bad thing to try and look into those changes and things like that, but it's better to try and have the right idea going into certain games. And the Faramis, even if it's not affected, he has it provides the right idea for your team composition. Like, for what you want to play, it's way better than just trying to play for the new item or the new fancy thing that it's currently in the meta. Like, sometimes it's better to go for that, but in general, try and keep the identity of what you want to play as active as possible, and that's exactly what Boyd did this time around. And if they can allow for the Brody to carry, then it's going to work marvelously. Now, that is thinking if the Brody is going to be allowed to carry, right? If the Brody is going to be there to provide the damage, because if they don't have the Brody there, or if it gets killed really early, or if it gets picked randomly somewhere, then that can change a lot of the dynamics in team fights. And like you were mentioning, they will probably be lacking a lot of damage in fights if the Brody is not present.
Yeah, the Beast though, I think here with the Iratel, right? There's so much mobility for the side of Arcantie because they got the Rafaela. And speaking of mobility, here it comes. Void Esports, they're able to sustain, but first one to fall, Smile, gonna be able to.
I think these are the highlights from the previous
game.
game.
First game, yeah, the highlights from the first game. I actually thought we were back because that's actually. This was actually the same spot that we paused the game earlier on, but this was the highlights actually for game number. I was so excited to cast it, but yeah, you know what? Looking at Arcantie in this game, the draft worked so well for them, right? Even though there was an Angela, it just completely nullified the fact that they just wanted to go in for the dives, and the NetherRealm was really a big factor here, as well as the Matilda, for them to disengage on the dives that they don't want to commit to, right? Like just like this one, Kenji and Smile. They were taking up so much damage from Pharaoh. Apparently not enough just yet, but look at that, just one shield, one guiding wind away was able to lead them out.
Yeah, the difference between one shield, one heal in those fights really was present for Arcantie, and it allowed for them to just go as crazy as possible inside of the enemy base or inside of the enemy space, and it just worked out so amazingly well for them. This time around it's going to be much more difficult since they won't have the consistent shielding or the good amount of shielding that they did in the previous game, but I do think that there's tools for them to try and replicate this. Like, they have to be a bit smarter in how they approach fights. But there are still tools for them to try and make this work out, and particularly to try and make themselves be as strong as possible if they really want to force fights.
Yeah, the Fairy Mist was just the key to all the team fights that just happened there, right? Like, even though there was the Angela's heart guard there, yeah, Fairy Mist just I think that's gonna be the key. That's gonna be the story here if ever Void actually does pull this off, right? Paramis, the Nether Realm, it was actually nerfed. Like before, it was so OP TDS. Like you pop in that Nether Realm, like despite even if you're outside that Nether Realm, you still get revived, or you still get that second chance, or you still get that additional HP from Faramis's ultimate. But now it was nerfed. You have to be closer each other, pretty much like how the Estes' ultimate works. So I think it's a bit different right now. So I'm actually wondering, speaking of the Estes, I'm actually wondering why no one has picked it up yet. It's actually open. It's actually open for the taking for Reed as well. If we're talking about supports, right? But it seems like these teams, they just want to go in for the clash. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult now early game here with the Fredrin. There's the Turtles Passans being popped here by Kenji. He's gonna get taunted here by Awad, but I think there's not gonna be much happening. Awad actually gonna be first one to fall, but nice. He is actually gonna be able to take one for the team. A double kill for Beast.
Wait, Beast?
What? There's Sabo to finish the job. Is there gonna be another one to fall? It's gonna be a double kill. Raven's falling down really low, but he does not have the bravest fighter. And there you have it. Another one falls. Ronix gonna be able to zone Abo away. Smile still up, but he's really low, unable to get that snipe onto Mio. And that is gonna be Void Esports once again winning in the clash. But I like the counter punish that Arcantie was able to do.
There's the one big difference in that fight. The first to move there was Avo. Ronix reaching way too late into that fight, and it allowed for the side of Void to find the better out of the team fight. Kenji also getting committed on really early on. Now looking once again for the potential fight there. They have to be careful. The turtle going to be stolen once again. They need to improve into being able to collect out turtles, because they are losing out on every one of them so far this series.
Oh, you know what? I think it was just a 1 second difference from how Awad pushed that retribution as compared to Kenji. Just 1 second. So Void Esports, Awad has been doing such a good job in taking in the turtles, and now we see that Void with the turtles that they've taken and the space that they've given as well. The turret falls down, and they're still on the lead. 2K this time. The tides have turned, but not just yet for Arcantie. The damage dealers still need the time to build the items. At least it's not like a total deficit for the gold lane here for Beast, right? 2-1-0 on the Irrital. At least they're able to get some kills. What's really difficult here is of course Pharaoh to be able to soak up the damage. Nice Junior once again gonna fall. No follow-up just yet. Brody not able to pop in that torn apart memories. And Arcantie, they're just taking what they can get right now. Ronix on the top side. Will he be
they
able
found
to
a really
take
good pick.
down Pharaoh? Yep, actually flickers out. Abo once again. So much damage on this Lapu Lapu.
Neo though
Ronix finds another one though, and I think they're gonna commit for more. Smile on the backside with that Astral Echo. Awad gonna have to deal with Kenji first. Abo as well on the backside. He finds it. Smile really low,
Smile.
and he's still wrecking havoc here on the dance floor, making sure that he gets everyone decimated before they are able to back away. And that's what's really good about Abo here this time. This is his playstyle as compared to the Uranus, right? More of soaking up the damage this is the playstyle that I see fit more for Abo because he's been so aggressive in those dives. And even here on the top side, Ronex
Oh,
not going to be able
Ronex.
to do anything against free. And that's going to be Void Esports once again picking kills after kills. And I don't think there's going to be any contest at all here for Arcantie on this turtle.
Well, that was the worst timing possible to end up dying there for Ronex, because it's going to be giving up the turtle potentially there. Kenji trying to maybe steal it, playing around with it, and he actually gets it this time around. Finally, we see Kenji able to take away the turtle, but probably for his life.
Huh? Yeah, that's going to be Kenji. We get taken down there by Pharaoh. And this time he has scaled up so well. Void Esports, they have so much control. They have so much dives in Arcantie. This time they're struggling to find an opening. But they can go for the counter punish here. There's Ronex going in the penalty zone. But there's the Nether Realm. And no one is able to fall after all of that. There's the Sniper Smile. There's the Astral Let Go. Are they going to commit towards this one? I think they're going to go for
they
it.
find Rudy.
And there you have it. They shut down Pharaoh. And that's going to be it. Arcantie will find what they can get out of this moment. Raven, there is the ultimate being popped there, but not enough to take down Void. That's going to be it for Arcantie. 12 kills for Void Esports. Very, very different from what we've seen in game number 1.
Yeah, much more consistent this time around, finding really, really good kills. And interestingly enough, even though the Faramis end up using some of their abilities really early on and forcing a fight in a really weird way, they are still able to find multiple opportunities to make the fight work out. Abo looking amazing on the level like you were mentioning before. And oh wait, another fight maybe? Turret. Nice, he's down.
Nice shooter. Yep, he's the one first to engage, and now Pharaoh as well in a duel with Beast. Flickers away to safety. Almost getting taken down there by Beast. One more hit would have sealed the deal there for him. And now Smile in the middle of 2 flickers out. And he's able to survive another day. Abo as well this time. 5-1-3. He's not able to be punished yet here by Arcantie. Nether Realm here being popped by Mio. He's going to be able to sustain all the damage. And Void Esports once again. They live another day.
Yeah, they are able to survive, but these fights are showing that as long as you're able to get the damage down, there's really good opportunities for Arcantie. Like, they can play the long fights as well, as long as Beast is in a good enough spot, and you know that they have the damage to make it work out. As the Lord is getting started, both teams trying to set themselves up. There's a lot of value that you have to be careful about here if you're on either side, on either team.
Yep, let's take a look at the Lord dance here for both sides. Yep. Man, it's gonna be really hard here. Void Esports can go in for the dive because they got the Faramis here. But then again, if they're able to bait out the Cult Altar before this Lord is up, they can at least win this Lord dance. Because I think that is one of the biggest problems they have right now, right? The Faramis. They got also the Lapu Lapu here that they haven't figured out where he is yet. So they have to at least pick off one first before they go in for it. And again, there's the concealed play from Nice Jr. He plays engage and he fights Beast. And now that's going to be one down. There's the Nether Realm being popped in. Abo goes in for the Raven Spider. Raven forces her out. Ronex, the only one left. He does not have any flicker as he gets the Appraiser's Rat. Void Esports. They win in the clash. They take down the mid tower. And I think they're going to be able to take the
and Kenji as well.
Kenji is not going to be able to survive that one. Void Esports, free Lord. And they took down 3 only for the price of 1. So totally good.
No.
Smile. What was he doing there? He's not able to survive as Void Esports. They take in this Lord, and now they're going to be able to push further the turrets here of Arcantie.
They have the value in their side now, and Beast, what was he doing in that spot? It completely destroyed every opportunity for Arcantie to actually force the fight. And weirdly enough, they had control of the area, but they just got completely picked up on the side. Great pick by Void, and it immediately forced everything to not only go into chaos, but secure a really big lead for the side of Void Esports. Will they be able to close out the game with this lead? Maybe. But at this point, at the very least, there's so much value that they finally had that they didn't have at all in the previous game.
Now we see that the Lord's marching in on the bottom side. Pharaoh as well. He's the one dishing damage. And now, right, the front line that Void Esports has built, no one is able to reach the backside, even Beast. So I think this massive front line from Void Esports is making it really hard for Arcantie to be able to take down the back lines. They don't really have an answer that other than Ronex, right? It's Ronex. He goes in for the penalty zone, but they're gonna be able to survive and save this tower on the bottom side as Void Esports. They're just gonna be continuously pushing in. It's gonna be really dangerous, right, if someone goes in for the engage, because Arcantie, they only got Raven here, and that's not really the front line. And see once again and onwards from Nice.
They killed what?
But Genji's really low. There's another realm. Mio's gonna be able to pick off Genji. And Abu forced to flicker out Rodex with 1 HP. Pharaoh, is he gonna be able to make it? Will he get outplayed? But he doesn't. Instead, he takes down Rodex instead. 4 members still alive here for Void Esports. 2 for the price of 1. Arcantie, as of the moment, they're really struggling to find an opening, struggling to find the pickoffs here as Void Esports. They're gonna be pushing in here.
And even though they are still trying to go in, they have damage on the side of Arcantie, but I don't think they will have enough to close out on some of the kills. They had the initial kill into Watt, but it wasn't enough for them to try and set up to contest on the team fight. And once again, the Faramis is just so strong. First picked on the red side, and it's doing marbles for them. It's really difficult to make a lot of arguments against this pick, and I'm expecting to see it either banned or first pick in the next game, if there's a next game, right? It just feels so oppressive in most of these fights.
I think there might actually be a next game, considering if Void Esports manages to landslide with this, because there's just one inhibitor left, and it's only standing with just a hairline of HP there.
Yep.
So I think the base here of Arcantie is really low, very open. So if there's a wipeout here, Void Esports can go straight for the push. And now Awan as well. Genji is soaking up the damage. They're taking up too much from Mio's Paramis, and now Genji as well. He's gonna be able to stay, but not for long. The burst damage is too much here for Pharaoh. And look at that, torn apart memories.
Yeah, that's
it.
it.
Actually even make it better for Void. And now it's only Ronex and Smile left to defend the base. I think they can end this one. They do have wave clipper. It's not enough. There's not enough hits here for Void Esports to work around. There's a penalty zone onto Ronex. He's gonna be buying some time as Pharaoh. They're locking in the base. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to game number 3.
It's going to go to the third game. Full props to Void Esports for how they played it out, and for even though he was kind of the MVP, it's pretty obvious. I'm going to say the Paramis is the MVP of the game, the match to me. Every fight has been decided by how the Paramis is positioned and how much value it provides for the team. If you save one member from dying in that situation, it just takes away from everything that the other team was trying to do. And I'm expecting to see the Paramis focus in the next game, because that hero has been so oppressive so far. And on the other side, Arcantie, I think that they had right ideas, but in crucial fights, Beast getting picked off, taking away from the damage, taking away from the gold laner, just does so much to your team to have the right, because this is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, as we take a look at what happened there, we're gonna go to a 1-1 here in our BO3, and I think our teams are just taking their sweet time here to be able to stretch out this best out of 3 to its limits. And now we're gonna be going to a best out of 3. So can I just safely say here, TDS, that Paramis wins games? It's no longer like the other supports. I think that's been overlooked, right? And with their Rafaela, I was like, okay, there's so much mobility for Arcantie, but they really didn't have anyone to deal with the Faramis. I think that was my biggest concern, right? And even though they did have someone there was so much CC before they could even reach the backlines. And I think what Void really did so well in that game was to be able to protect their Brody, which was Pharaoh, and Mio on the Faramis. Like, I think even the basic and the second skill of the Faramis just hurts so much. Like, it was a magic damage Faramis, and Arcantie was just really not prepared this time. And Void Esports like, have a taste of your own medicine here in game number 2, because they're the ones going to be utilizing that Faramis. I think we're going to be able to see the highlights later on as we see how that Faramis was utilized. But again, overall, such a good game. Early game pressure was given to Arcantie, and yeah, turrets were
Yeah,
going down one by one, and all the objectives actually went towards the side of Void Esports this time.
yeah, they pretty much had control of them. I think apart from maybe one, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe one turtle, everything in the control of Void. They knew what they wanted to do. Lightning, they had the plan. This game translated into this one, and they played it out really, really well. With that, Paramis being one of the biggest improvements from their previous composition. So props to them. Huge props to how they are to how they played it, and
Mhm.
trying make this series as competitive as possible. I also would say one of the biggest things that I'm kind of disappointed, and we're going to see in the highlights here, is Ronix, how he ended up playing this game, because I feel like a lot of the situation could have been avoided for Ronix, also kind of away from his team in multiple times.
Yep. This was the one where I think Arcantie actually did really well in counter punishing Void Esports. But what was really difficult here, right? There was so much CC. You get the onwards from Nigs Jr. and then it gets followed up here by Abo's Lapu Lapu, and eventually you also get taunted here by Awad. So it's just a really solid front line that Void Esports has built, which is really what
Yeah,
made it so hard here for the Baksha of Kenji. We actually, yeah, he was able to soak up the damage, but then again, right, like once you're soaking up the damage, somebody has to deal with the back lines. And yeah, Pharaoh was just too much to deal with here. I think he had overall a very good game. There were times that he got picked off, but Void Esports just supported him so well in this game, as well as Abo, right, that gave so much space to his teammates in this game, being so proactive as the Lapu Lapu.
yeah, Abo as well. If I'm going to critique Ronix, I think I have to give huge props to Abo as well, because where Ronix kind of failed in terms of positioning and how he was going to try and support his team, Abo was finding so much value on the side with the Lapu Lapu, always finding good team fights, engaging with the right approach because the team was ready to support him as well, and waiting on the right timing to make everything happen. So each experienced laner having contrasting games this time around, but going out to a certain degree for the team as best as they can. And in this last game, we're going to need to see how they are going to play around their experienced laners as well.
Yeah, I think what was really difficult here is Arcantie thought that they had their answer with the penalty zone here of Ronex. But apparently, right, like once you pop in, see, this is where Ronex pops in the penalty zone, and it's just
Yeah,
completely ignored here or completely negated here by Void Esports with that Nether Realm. And just right after that, right, like a win in the team fights, they got that first Lord. I think it was only the first Lord that they were able to, yeah, at least take in the crystals. There were times that Arkansas was able to punish, but then again, very very good draft coming out from Void Esports, and I think the positioning as well of Pharaoh was impeccable in this game. He was, I think, only once or twice that he was taken out in this game. So overall, such a good positioning for a Brody, right? I mean, this Brody is the type of marksman that can really protect itself as well. As long as he positioned himself well, you are able to free hit everyone from the backside. And this is where you see how Pharaoh has been positioning, right? All the way from the back. All he needs to do is just one basic attack. And this one, where he goes a little bit aggressive there, he was able to pick up a double. And if they weren't able to do that, they wouldn't have been able to end this game. 15 minutes in, NetherRealm popped as well in that last clash as Void Esports will force out a game number 3.
exactly. We'll say though, much closer game compared to the previous one. The first one was a complete stump in favor of Arcantie. The second one, Boyd able to come back, but it wasn't as clear cut as the first game. There were multiple occasions where Arcantie could try and go for multiple fights where they can turn around the game or try and put themselves in a winning spot. Whereas in the first one, there wasn't really that for Boyd. As we are potentially going, as we're looking at how they're going to adapt. So far, Red Side being really consistently good for both teams. We're going to see what they're going to try and adapt into that. But once again, the Faramis and the Brody performing amazingly well. Like it says Brody is the MVP, and obviously it goes a lot with the kills. But I would say the Faramis enabling that as much as possible.
Yeah, I was like wondering how much damage was he dealing with just one skill, right? Like he picked up the Holy Crystal. I don't think we were able to see the item build, but he picked up the Holy Crystal, then the Divine Gaze. It just makes so much sense, right? As compared to Smile's Novaria that just needs to position very well in the clash, which Smile was able to do, but it was all really difficult, right? Because you have to figure out
Yeah.
where Abo is with the Lapu Lapu, you have to figure out where Awad is, plus Pharaoh has been creating everyone for the backside. And look at this build. Not even a single magic defense build here. It's all aggressive for Pharaoh. So he built the Heptases, then eventually moving into even a Heptases here just to nullify all of the heals that are coming out from Arcantie.
That'll be one of the better approaches. Or on the other side, try and be the one that has the heals on your side, right? Like out heal the healing is another approach maybe that they can try and look for. Looking at what will work out though, I'm just looking at how much the support bans are going to come through, because in the previous game, or game particularly actually, we had the two support bans coming through in the first rotation. For the next game, I'm expecting to maybe see a bit more supports coming through and trying to put more pressure into that area. Like ban away as many supports as you can. It feels like that could be the angle, and see what is left and take it for yourself.
Yeah, like what I mentioned, right? So it's all about the supports here. It's all about the support meta here. And even though the
Yeah.
Fairy Mist has not been affected by the Flash of the Oasis, I think the Fairy Mist just fits in the playstyle of both sides. So either ban it or pick it, right? But at this point, right, it works so well for both teams. Whoever has the Fairy Mist
Yeah.
wins the game. So I think it's also going to be crucial here, TDS, who's going to be on the blue side. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it might actually be Void over on the blue side once again. So it's the same setup as what they had in game number one. So either they're gonna let one or two supports slide, and I'm actually curious why these teams aren't picking up the other supports healers as well. Like I think they chose a Rafaela in the last game for
Yeah.
Arcantie. So there's actually still the Florine and the Estes open, right? So I think those are also two of the heroes that are on top of the ban list. So I'm not so sure what went on. Like I think they prefer the Rafaela and the Irital combo, right? So it's just very good mobility, but it apparently was not enough for Arcantie in that game. But of course, TDS, before we head over to our match point between our two teams, Arcantie and Void Esports, we're going to be tossing it first to a quick break. But don't you guys go away. Don't touch that browser. We're going to be right back after this short break.
Let's do this, Abu Dhabi!
do this Abu Dhabi! Let's 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 do this Abu Dhabi! this Abu Dhabi! Let's do this, Abu Dhabi! Let's do this, Abu Dhabi!
Welcome back to Arena Esports, of course, powered by Etisalat, our strategic partner AD Gaming, as well as Playtona Esports as our official broadcast partner. Once again, you got me, Burger Kim, and TDS to bring you the action for our last and final BO3, which is match number 1. You guys still have match number 2 later on, so this is going to be match point 4, either Void Esports or we're gonna have that reverse sweep if ever they do get it, or is it gonna be Arcantie Esports that will be taking in the game here for our last and final series or last and final game of this series, rather?
Yeah, the pause kind of messed up with a bit of what we were expecting to see, but it's okay. We're going to come back into this game and then later on with the next series. And speaking about who can take, we're talking about that potential what is it called, the potential reverse sweep that can happen on the BO3s. And since it's so to try and get the games going in your favor, it's really easy for one of the teams to just be able to get it going here. And I think Void, with the momentum that they have, could potentially actually make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, Void Esports once again on the blue side. So it is going to be up to Arcantie to figure out which one to ban. And knowing how they banned early, it was more of the Joy, the Akai. So now they have other things to consider, right? The Matilda, the Angela, and even the Faramis here that can all be picked up here by Void Esports because they're first pick. There's also the Navaria here to consider. The Nolan, I think, is going to be a no-brainer. Definitely always on the ban list because I'd say it farms up pretty well. It's very fast when it comes to taking in the resources and has an insane amount of damage. So I think, yeah, Arcantie just respects that fact. Now, here's the thing, TDS, are they going to ban away the supports here for the side of Arcantie? Because we all know that actually it went that way for Void Esports, right? They banned the Matilda and they banned away the Angela. So I think if they don't ban away at least a support here, it might actually slip up and go to the hands of Void.
Yeah, but they could also make the argument of, okay, we don't ban any support and we give you one and we take two. Like, that could also be an angle for them to try and play around in this pick and ban instead of banning or two of them out in here.
Yeah, because there's still the Akai to consider here, right? They've been banning that away for the past 2 games. There you have it. On cue, just as I point out the Akai, they ban it away. Angela now has been taken away by Void themselves, so now they're actually forcing um they're forcing Arcantie to actually either ban away the yeah, now here's the thing. Ban away the Matilda, do you ban away the Navarre, or do you ban away the Faramis here that has done so well? But here's the thing too, if you're on the blue side, you can only pick one. You can pick only one of
Yep.
those things or one of those heroes that I mentioned. So I mean, this is such a tricky thing to do if you're what would you do if you're Arcantie at this point? Do you ban away a support or do you ban away something else?
Always
I
on the
honestly would go
way.
for something else.
Oh,
Like they end
your
up banning the
team is
Matilda,
picking.
but I would have gone for something else because I feel like getting the trade is much more valuable at
See
this
value
point
in me?
than actually just
Your team
get
is
not
You
getting
picking.
should.
anything in return. But it's going to be the Fredrin here, first pick for the side of Void, and I feel like they are going to answer accordingly with one of the sports now.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. The Rafaela is still open. I think the Edith was such a good choice for Void earlier, right? Like, not only did the Fredrin make it a hard time for the side of Arcantie, it was also the Edith and even the Lapu Lapu here. So they need like, I think if they're gonna be building the same draft as what they did in game number 2, they need a tank shredder, and I think this is one of the best, right? The Lunox, I think even the Claude here can really penetrate the front lines as compared to the Iratel that just needs a little bit more mobility, needs that sprint, needs to pop the ultimate. But I think
Nowhere for the
okay,
evil to
this
hide.
is really really strange coming out from the side of Arcantie, right? There was a Faramis open, and I think Void is just gearing up
Yep.
to go towards that direction, right? They can still pick up the Faramis here, and then maybe pick up the Iratel or the Brody. Depends on what their marksman prefers here.
Well, depending on if they go for Faramis and Brody, that would be their first rotation of picks from the previous game, the same one, in almost the same order. If they give Faramis and the Brody here, which it would be kind of interesting. They are giving it's like Arcantie is fine giving out the tools that in the previous game worked out so well for Void
Yeah.
without trying them immediately here. And even though I'm not against
Ah,
the risk
there
about
you
the
have it.
security, I'm kind of curious
Oh,
at the
no.
point. Yeah, the
Your
Faramis and the
team
Brody.
is picking.
Yeah,
same-
man, just on cue, just
is
like
the trick,
just like what we
the
mentioned
Reaper.
earlier, right? It was up for taking. I was actually thinking like there could be another strategy, right? Like if they didn't pick up the Faramis, they could have at least picked up maybe like a Yuzong, someone that has CC like the Edith, right? That was also a game changer for
Yeah.
them. So will the side of Arcantie actually pick up the Edith because it can actually be a mid lane Rafaela and then a roam Edith. But the thing is, they're not gonna have that much of damage, right? If they have the Rafaela as the mid laner, as compared to the Faramis that has a lot more that he can offer as compared to the Rafaela. That's more of a
Yeah.
healer type. So I'm not so sure if they're gonna go for the Iratel this time around, or maybe they go for the Claude. I think a Claude is a good answer. Has more mobility
my way.
than
Exactly.
the Iratel, so they actually go for something different here. I like this pick as well. Someone that just has to position himself well. And then if you're untouched in the clash, it's pretty much like a sitting Eve, like a marksman Eve, right? Like you pop in that full barrage, everyone along your way can get taken down. So I think they're just gearing up for the fact that Void might actually pick up an Edith or maybe even a Yuzong or a Lapu Lapu. Whatever they pick up, the Iratel will actually answer. But they have to keep her properly protected, especially in the early game and especially during the times that the Iratel really needs the time to farm up.
Exactly, and I'm kind of curious if there's the potential for Kaya to come through in either side. Like I think an underappreciated hero so far, and provides so much value when looking at not only the pick potential, but also the potential to kill people really effectively. And Lab going to be banned away, they don't have to deal with that again. Understandably so. I think they played on the side of Void so well. The Lapu Lapu, Abo was amazing with how he was trying to perform with the hero.
Yeah, I think there's just respect to Abo here. He played differently,
Yeah.
like as compared to the time that he picked up the Uranus. The playstyle was just so different,
The
right?
falling
The
stars
Lapu
brought
Lapu
us
just
here.
enables
Your team
Abo
is
to be the
bearing.
aggressive type of XP laner that he is, that can match up to Ronick. So now there's still the I think the Yuzong is still a good idea here, especially for the Iratel, right? So I think Void, sorry, rather Arcantie has to consider that when they're banning here, either an XP laner ban. I think Nice can actually just pick up that Edith, but I think it's gonna be such a difficult time for Arcantie if they do let that either the Edith or the Yuzong lose here. But yeah, I like what you mentioned, like the Kaja, right? That could be picked up here for the side of Arcantie. I'm just worried that again they don't have that much damage. They do have that control onto
Yeah.
the Predator or even the Faramis or Brody, but they will not have enough damage.
And that is still without counting the fact that maybe finally you're showing for the side of Void. So you have to be careful about how you opt into this. The Minotaur, even though we didn't see like its power in the first game, it has forced bans out of Arcantie in the previous 2 games. So nice, at the very least, putting fear into the side of Arcantie, even if it wasn't to the best of success.
Yeah, I think this time they're just taking away all of the heroes that were picked up by Void earlier, or at least they've used in 1 or 2 games. So it's just a respect, or actually force them to bring out something different. So now we see that for Arcantie, if you're talking about Kenji, if you're talking about the jungler, he's only picked up the Baksha, right? And the Baksha is more of the type of soaking up the damage, not really of the CC. As compared to the Fredrin that's just working so well in this current meta, I think the Baksha would still be a good pick if they can actually keep up with the early game. Because once again, Void has this lineup, right? Faramis, then you also got the Fredrin. These are heroes that can really rotate fast. Very good in taking in objectives as well, and very good in team fights. So they really need to answer out to that, or will they completely pick up something different? But I think they're just still gonna stick with what they know, and they're gonna be picking up that Baksha. Eden as well, that works so well. So this is the exact same
was so
lineup.
great.
I think we're all
Yeah.
going to just find out what Abo will pick up in the final pick here of Void.
It's chasing on that last one. There's the export still. I wouldn't be against it to give it to Abo, in all honesty.
the export would
But
still be good,
interestingly, yeah, that's true. Like there's options here for Abo that fit so well for the composition from Void. And since the only change that Arcantie did was going for that they, I feel like there's still a couple of holes here and there that Arcantie hasn't really answered. Instead, they can just play whatever they want. You're shown on the side of
Yes,
of
this was
Void,
what
and
I
I
was
feel like they
pointing
still
out
have
earlier.
similar.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is what I was pointing out earlier. I was like, wow, you're giving too much to Void. Actually, this is so hard once again. They need to deal with the Faramis here. I like this Lilia. I like this as compared to what Arcantie actually picked up in that last game. Yes, there was the
Yeah.
Rafaela, but they did not have AoE. They did not have enough heroes to dish out magical damage if they do keep that Rafaela in the mid lane. I love this Lilia, personal favorite of mine. And once that cult altar is down, it's gonna be so good up against all of these heroes of Void, right? These are all melee heroes. These are all heroes that will dive. But again, if you have the Lilia who will just slow you down with the glooms, I think it's a good answer. But again, Arcantie, they have to make that early game work because Void, again, this is the type of lineup that enables them so much in the early game. And as long as they can snowball with this, they are pretty much good to go with this lineup. Let's take a look at it once again here. Our lineup for Void Esports and Arcantie for our last and final game of the series.
Whoever takes it forward, whoever ends up losing, unluckily will be eliminated. Still can play in the coming tournament, but would lose out on the opportunity for that monthly, or for the direct monthly invitation towards the tournament. That being said, it's not going to be an easy game for both teams. I think Void going for something similar to the previous game, having a similar identity, making it easier on them to try and replicate it in the previous game, and trying to have a similar stuff as well. But at the same time, like you're mentioning, the Lilia is going to be kind of the wild card when you think about it. And if they are able to maximize the value of this Lilia, going to be quite good on the side of Arcantie.
Yeah, you see how the Glooms here smile. They're only just level 1, right? He's able to bully Void here over on this bottom side, and he's not even level 2 just yet, forcing Nags to actually go right in, purify up for a smile. But there's just so much pressure on this bottom side. And now this is looking much better for Arcantie. They're able to contain this lane even with 3 members here over on the bottom side. So this actually gives so much leeway for Arcantie to either force a Void out of a situation where they have to respond, or they either waste resources early on. And as you can see, Abo is not going to be able to actually go back because there's just a lot of pressure that Arcantie is doing here in this game over the bottom side. We see that Retribution has also been used there just to take away that Crammer from Awad, and now level 4 advantage here for Kenji once again before the turtle, and so much pressure here on the XP side. But then again, here's the thing, TBS top side as well has to be considered, but before that, here's the tug here coming out from Mio. Smile's really low, does not have the black shoes just yet, but there's a lot of pokes here coming out from both sides. The dedication, the strength that they're showing here in this last and final game to be able to at least move over to the next stage of this tournament. Yep, Smile as well. He does not have the black shoes. Yeah, he's gonna go for more. Awad picks up a double before the turtle, and now Kenji as well. Numbers advantage gonna go to the side of Void Esports this time. The Fredrin, that has worked wonders for them. No wonder why they picked this up first. And now Ronex as well misses that penalty zone, half HP for the turtle. Let's see who will be picking up so much zoning in from the side of Void Esports. I'm not so sure if Kenji will be able to steal this one, and instead he takes up all of the damage. Everyone's holding down
so
real low. Smile up for the damage, and they take down at least. Nice. So at least Arcantie was able to take something out of that one. If Smile was not present in that one, that would have been the end of Kenji. And here comes the two mid laners and the roamer here to the rescue over onto the turtle side, as Kenji once again will be starting it up once again here for Arcantie.
And it looks like since they have the control and they have the healthier members, they're going to get the turtle for free. Huge pickup they find there onto the Abyss, because could have been just a turtle once for the side of Void, and that could really have been game defining with the advantage that they had with that Fredrin double kill early on. Weirdly enough though, even the setup for that double kill was great, and they got the double kill onto the Fredrin, couldn't really capitalize because they were looking way too into trying to force the team fight instead of trying to secure the objective. And I feel like that's the slight mistake Void ends up making there. Fire with fire when they had the bigger fire and they didn't need to try and do anything.
Yeah, here comes Kenji with the engage, and now Smile. There's the Cult Toddler being popped here by Mio. He's gonna be able to sustain. There's the Appraiser's Wrath, but there's Ronex from the backside dealing out the damage from the side of Void.
Oh, they didn't kill.
It's still not over. Still not over. Smile, he's really low. Does he have the black shoes? And no, he does not. Pharaoh will pick up the kill as Void Esports. Now they're gonna be able to take away the gold plating here over onto the mid side. Ronex gonna be able to stop that one, but there's so much crowd control here from the side of Void. It's gonna be causing Ronex to actually back away. Even the heal from Raven is not enough. Void Esports are just looking too good in this game. 200 lead by them, but they are winning in all of class. Let's take a look at the top side. There's the flicker out from Beast, which we haven't checked just yet, because if you actually take a look at the minimap here, the Iratel here of Beast has taken out so much gold plating here as compared to Pharaoh, who actually moved over to the bottom side.
Exactly, and a lot of that also has to come with where Pharaoh was in the previous fight and where Beast was. Beast was still staying closer to the turrets, whereas Pharaoh moved to force the fight, as we see Ronex once again getting engaged on, but this time around, it's not going to be enough. He's actually going to die. Pharaoh collecting so much gold here.
Yeah, that's just, Arcantie is just really struggling, right? They're going in one by one, and now Kenji as well, a little bit too late, forced to use that Retribution out, as well as the Tortoise Poisson's hand enhance his movement speed. But look at Void, they're just so good in taking in the objectives. Pharaoh as well, taking in this turret, while the rest of the members here of Arcantie actually gonna try to contest for this turtle, as Kenji gonna be joining in the party here as well. So let's see if Arcantie can actually take this one, because so far it's only Void that has been winning everything. There's the Petrify coming through from Raven. He's at 1 HP and is not able to survive. Void, I think they should be able to take this turtle with no contest at all. And Arcantie, they're just really struggling all across the map, right? They either get engaged on, they're wasting all of their flickers because of the onward from Edith. And now we see that they're just really struggling to find openings all across the map. Top side, bottom side. And now Void Esports with an 18k gold lead as compared to Arcantie that just has a 15k. And now they took the mid tower as well.
The domination is too much.
Yeah, there's the Appraiser's Wrath. Man, too much. He's soaking up all the damage, and the Appraiser's Wrath, too much to deal with for Arcantie. They started out really strong, but now they are gonna have to rely on Beast, right? Let's see what Beast has by the time this reaches at least mid-game, because so far Void Esports, they've been wrecking havoc, top side, bottom side, and look at their rotations, right? It has always been Neo rotating with Pharaoh, right? Making sure that their gold laner
Yep.
is alive, and look at how fast this Brody is shredding the towers here from Arcantie.
We haven't seen it all yet, the Ixia Beast, like you were mentioning, but the rotations and the movements from Void have been so good that I'm not even sure if it's going to matter to actually see the rotations. Like, look at that. Once again, finding Kenji on the side, able to collapse with them and not give them any opportunity. And when Arcantie tries to go for something similar all over on the other side of the map, it's just really difficult for them to set themselves up for success. What is the same level as Ronex? He's so strong at this point in the game.
Yeah, I think even Ronex here, like, he did so well in game number 1. He was able to zone out a lot of the members here of Void Esports, but now I think it's just extra hard here for Arcantie to make any plays, right? Because Pharaoh has already pretty much scaled up 5 kills on the Brody. So pretty much all the gold, if Arcantie is able to get that shutdown onto Pharaoh, they should be able to at least get that shutdown gold. But as in the moment, right, they're just forced to take in the objectives. But then again, objectives are all going towards the side of Void, because look at how fast the Brody is pushing, right? Like, as you can see, Pharaoh has just been cutting the waves, and Arcantie's just forced to deal with Abo here, that even can do that 4v1 situation, and he's still alive.
He just runs away?
Oh, yeah, he just actually bounces back. Here's Mio up for the save.
Neo.
Ronex as well with the penalty zone, but the Cult Altar there to save the day. Full barrage from the Ixia. Smiles the first one to fall. Will Mio fall down as well? 1 HP. Ronex flickers in and gets the kill. Arcantie finds themselves an opening here on the top side, but here comes a wad that they have to deal with. Holy Baptism from Raven. Beast as well, forced to run away, but Awad here for the chase. The taunts are just too much here. Even Raven
Beast is
says
trying.
that Beast, you just have to deal with that one. I can just heal you from the back, but Pharaoh is here to join the party as he goes in for the taunts. Torn apart memories to finish the job, as Arcantie, once again, they're just getting punished right after they find an opening.
Beast trying to escape as fast as they can, as we see another potential engage here. What doesn't feel any fear?
Yep, and that's gonna be Raven. First one to fall. Appraiser's rat. Everyone's really low from Arcantie.
So
There's the
easy.
shutdown here of Ronex. But then again, what do you have to do? Because Pharaoh is still alive, punishing everyone who just comes near Void Esports. They pick up a double 3 for the price of 2. They did get some shutdowns, but Void Esports still the one on top. They need to get Pharaoh here, who's just so good here in this game. 8-0-1 on the Brody. No one has been able to take him down just yet. Even the full barrage of the Ixia is not enough to take him down. There's also the Cult Altar that they have to consider here. So Arcantie, they're just left with at least just 2 inhibitors here. Only 2 inhibitors left for Arcantie. So wow, this is just map control going to the side of Void Esports.
Yep. Yeah, and even before the Lord spawns, so going to have not only the map control, but also the complete control over the objective as soon as it spawns. They can try and take it down as soon as they want with a Pharaoh that is currently 8-0, and they can look to try and just end the game as soon as they want. It's really early on, but Void just completely in control of everything that is happening in the map right now, and I'm not sure if Arcantie will get any opportunity to actually make a team fight go their way. They're just simply getting completely destroyed with a difference in level and items.
Yeah, I think it's just too risky for them to make any of the plays. Yeah, because look at how fast Void is taking in that Lord. 10 minutes in, I don't think they're gonna waste their time to wait for that 12-minute enhanced Lord. They're just gonna take this one because there's only just a few towers left here for Arcantie. So I think they just taking in this Lord at least to shred in the inhibitors, and I think there's no way for Arcantie to even do any split push here, because as you can see, Kenji is just camping out on the bottom side. I'm not so sure what he's planning. Is he going for a split push, or is he going for a surprise pick off? Because we see that Void Esports are not wasting any time. After taking in the Lord, they're already positioning themselves here over on the inhibitors because they're looking to take it. And with Pharaoh alive, they're going to be able to take away as much as they can get. Lord marching in on the bottom side. Will this be the end for Arcantie?
Could be with the Lord coming down over on the side that is completely open. So going immediately to try and take the game if Void is able to play around this really effectively. But they are trying to choke the life out of Arcantie already, trying to push as much as they can, trying to get their inhibitor down if they can. Although, ooh, a lot going in.
Yep, there's Black Dragon form from the Yuzong, signaling the side of Arcantie to actually back away, but that was just them zoning. They got in the inhibitor turret, and now let's see if there's going to be a play being made here by Void. If they overextend, they can get punished still here by Arcantie. So let's see if this will be the case. They're looking to take in all the inhibitors, and there's Nice going in. There's the full barrage as well from the backside, but it's not enough. It forces Void to actually back away, but they're still relentless. They're going in for the chase. There's the onward onto Genji. He's the one soaking up the damage. There's the Nether Realm being able to sustain everyone as Brody, Arrow being able to free it once again. Will this be the end? Numbers advantage are towards the side of Void. They get in a tug onto Beast, but it's not enough. Arrow, he's low on HP. I don't think Void Esports, they're gonna be
that was
okay. They do get one more. Raven falls as Void Esports is just wreaking havoc here. 70 kills on the board. But Arcantie, they're just showing signs of life. They're punishing anyone who's actually overextending on their base.
Even inside of their base, they are trying to punish as much as they can as they engage once again, trying to look for another one. But Burrow just simply deals too much damage. Look at that, he's barely going to be taken down. Ronex, ooh, that is close, but Burrow is fine.
Yep, Nice is forced to use in that Primal Rat. He has that immortality. Mio as well, dishing out so much damage. Black Shoes has been popped here by Smile, but they got in all the inhibitors here for Void. I think 30 seconds before the next Lord, they're not going to be overstaying in the base as Kenji. He's looking for a target here. Abo's really low, but he's able to sustain care of that Shot Essence from his passive. So they're not going to be able to do much. But Void Esports, if you take a look, there's only one tower down from their side. So it's just really a struggle for power all across the map here for Arcantie. This was not the Arcantie that we've seen in game number 1, and Pharaoh as well picks up that magic defense here, but that has also the attack speed, the rose gold meteor rather here for the additional magic protection. And we see Arcantie Esports camping out here once again, trying to find an opening to jump in on that Lord. It might just be a bait here for Void. Let's see. It's going to be a tug here onto Kenji.
Okay.
Full barrage from the backside. Rodex goes in for the penalty zone. But it's still not enough. They're getting zoned away by Abo, who's trying to pick off the backside. Smile as well. Gonna get taken down there by Nice. Forcing that Primal Wrath. Immortalities have been purchased. It's only 3 members left here on the base. They might actually try to go for the finish here for Void. Numbers advantage are there.
They can.
So they can just tank in the towers here at this point. Pharaoh gonna lock in the tower. Will this be the end? Let's go back to the base here. I think this is gonna be it. There's enough minion waves. Pharaoh flickers in, and he's still legendary. Locks in the tower. It doesn't matter, as it is gonna be Arcantie really facing the rat here of Void Esports as they pick up that reverse sweep, that 2-1 up against Arcantie.
We started today talking about potentially that happening in this BO3 format, and Void immediately pulls it off. Really well played after that first game being such a complete stomp against them. They turned it around immediately, recognized the strength that they want to play with, and in the previous 2 games, drafted smartly, played smartly, and end up with the win. Huge props to how they played and really deserved victory at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was actually wondering what happened here I was actually expecting to see Arcantie at least like steal 1 or 2 picks from Void, but they actually still go with the same draft that they had in game number 2. I think they're kind of thinking maybe it can actually work out well here in game number 3. But again, it was a match point between these 2 teams, and Void Esports, they started out real slow today, but this is the final score, and they will be moving to the quarter finals here and moving to the next stage with us for Arcantie, right? It was such a strong start. They just really weren't prepared for the Ferris here. I think twice already Void Esports picked up that Ferris. I was just wondering why they didn't pick it up for themselves here in game number 3, going to still pick up the Rafaela. So I think it was just a high risk for the side of Arcantie, but yeah, it was just a struggle for them in the team fights. And Pharaoh's Brody as well was just wreaking havoc by the time that they were able to answer out to the other plays that was being made. But yeah, overall, it was a good game in Void Esports with the reverse sweep here for our very first match.
Starting off really, really well. And now, after this one, we'll have to pay a careful attention to what will happen in the next one with those picks, right? Because now that we've seen Faramis be such an impactful pick, we've seen the Fredrin finding so much value as well, the Brody as well being so impactful for Void. Is there going to be consistent picks like this going into the next series? Like, it's not only going to be Void that took advantage of this, but probably other teams are going to try and go for it, going to try and make the most out of them, and maybe we see variation in that sense. Maybe more champions coming through, but I would say Farm is particularly one that I'm going to keep my eye out in the coming series.
Yeah, Paramis, I think it just really depends on what kind of draft. I've just really found it interesting that, Arcantie actually went for Rafaela instead of a Faramis, right? So is that still gonna be the story here? Is that still gonna be the main support that
Yeah.
will be showcased actually in our next series? So speaking of the next series, we're actually gonna be having another best out of three, of course, before we proceed to the highlights. It's gonna be just to give you guys a little glimpse of what we will be seeing in the next game, is the Team Axe and Team Revengers here for our next BO3. But of course, we still have to talk about we still have to talk about that last game, what went on, how Pharaoh was able to scale up pretty well, and how Void Esports was just able to win all of those clashes back to back. I think from
Yep.
top lane, bottom lane, they were just able to win and take everything. And I don't think Arcantie was able to contest for any of the objectives as well.
If I'm not wrong, they get the first turtle after dying in the 2-for-0 at the start of it, where Ferdin gets 2 kills out of nowhere, and then they kind of begin bleeding out consistently. And I think Arcantie was doing a really good job at just controlling certain spaces and trying to not allow for the Fredrin to get out of control, or for the Paramis to move around the map and try and have as much impact as possible. But that first initial loss in terms of the kills really affected a lot of how the game ended up going. And then the Fredrin moving around, getting kills, being really hard to kill as well. In the second, I would say second or third team for the next turtle, really was impossible to stop him from just finding the value that they wanted. And I want to highlight something of that when we go into the highlights, because there's the movement from Pharaoh going to help the team and being able to get the kills, and then Ixia staying up there in the top lane. Beast didn't really move around, so he wasn't really factoring that team fight, whereas the other gold laner actually was a factor.
Yeah, I think the Brody was actually banned away in game number 1. So I think
Yeah, it
for
was.
for Arcantie, they actually didn't ban it away for last 2 games. So I think it was more of the question is, what do we deal with? Do we deal with the Faramis? Do we deal with the Brody? They actually left it both open. And let's take a look at the highlights here, TDS, on what went on. Actually, nice start here by Arcantie. They were actually able to pressure. They were actually able to bully out the XP lane, and even to the point that they were able to bully out the members here of Void. But what made it really difficult here was when Awad actually came in, right? Like, he jumped right in and was
Yeah.
able to get that double kill early on, which is actually what enabled them to pick up that the objectives time and time again. So it was just a difficult game overall. Just when you think you're about to be able to escape, someone dives right in, right? Either the Yuzong or the Fredrin actually dives in here. So it's just a very difficult game here for Arcantie. They didn't really know where to go. Do they have to go respond to the top side? Do they respond to the bottom side? Because it seems like all around the map, it has been Void Esports taking in control.
And we saw the initial replay there that showcased what we were talking about with Pharaoh and the Brody going and joining the fight really early on, whereas Beast didn't really join it. And then after that, it's a cascading effect. But you can see here, at this point, it was kind of already this imbalance, because it was more in favor of Void. But with the goal that they had, they were able to consistently be able to find good fights. Even the fights that were looking good for Arcantie were just simply really difficult to play out as soon as the Brody and the Fredrin joined into the fight. And with the amount of damage, with the survivability as well that they had with the Faramis and the Fredrin, they just simply were close to unstoppable, to not say completely unstoppable.
Yeah, and what's really funny is, like, if you take a look at the clashes, right? It's also always like Naze or either a wad, right? That tanks up the damage, but the the one where the hero or the hero that you really want to take out here is Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh or Mio, and
Yeah.
I think Arcantie is just having that problem, right? Once the front line is gone, Void still has the damage, right? Look at how Mio and Pharaoh has been positioning themselves, right? Pharaoh always positions himself in the backside. I don't think he was able to get the shut down in this game, which actually made it even more difficult for Arcantie to answer out so much gold going towards the side of Pharaoh. I think he had like 11 or 12 kills by the last mark of the game, the last minute of the game, and it
Yeah.
was just hard to bounce back from a situation where your opponent's goal later actually just snowballed right through here in this game, and the back-to-back win for the Brody of Pharaoh. I think this is a
Yep.
comfort pick that they should have at least overlooked, not just the Faramis. But yeah, speaking of those two heroes, let's take a look at the scoreboard here. 23 kills. And of course, our top scorers here on their scoreboard is going to be, of course, Mio and Pharaoh.
Yeah, and Pharaoh not dying in the game, like we're mentioning, such consistent carry, really good performance, moving around really well, and securing the champion that, like we were mentioning, the Brody was banned in the first game. After that, picked in the first rotation for the next two games, and deservedly so, finding the value that you want to have as a carry. Like you want to have this sort of performances if you're going to prioritize a carry like the Brody. And really well played, really nicely done. The support of the team is immaculate as well. But the carry has to be formed, and Pharaoh did that perfectly with the Brody.
Yeah, if you take a look at Arcantie as well, it's not bad that they were able to at least
Yeah.
for Smile, Beast, the damage dealers of Arcantie, they were at least able to pick up at least three core items, right? But look at Pharaoh, he's just so aggressive. You see, even down to the build, right? Like he's it just goes to show that he's that type of marksman that just is able to at least respect the damage coming out from Arcantie, right? Picking up the rose gold meteor. He also
Yeah.
picked up the Sea Halberd as well to counter out all the heals and the regens coming out from their side. But it's a complete damage build from the Brody, right? Sometimes you would see like damage dealers picking up immortalities, you'd see them picking up with the trenches, but nothing for Pharaoh, right? He's so bold in this game. He hasn't picked up a defense item. All he picked up was a damage item. And I can totally understand why
Yep.
it ended out this way, right? Just one basic attack from the Brody,
Exactly.
and once you're running away, you pop that torn apart memories, and it's true, you're done.
Exactly. The Brody being able to carry out effectively and pretty much huge confidence in his playstyle because of having those damage items. But quickly, just a reminder of the prize pool as we finish the first series into the second one. $1,200 prize pool in general, with the first place taking the 650, second place 300, third place 150, and fourth place 100. This is a split between the 950 in cash and the 250 worth of arena points that are still valuable enough. So overall, everyone has something to play for, and hopefully we see a lot of teams putting in the work to try and win, as we also see the roadmap here.
Yep, we see that now we are in the invitational qualifier, so we just have our first team that qualified to the quarterfinals. So they will be moving forward in this roadmap. So that's gonna be Void Esports proceeding to the next round. We got another matchup later on, so we'll find out whether if it's Team Axe or Team Revengers that will move forward alongside Void Esports to our quarterfinals. And we have yet to see as well the open qualifier teams for our next round on who will be able to proceed to the quarterfinals, eventually heading over to the monthly finals. And then let's see who will be the teams that will qualify for the playoffs. So far, we only have one. And once again, here's our schedule for today. BO3s all for today. So Arcantie and Void Esports. And now we're going to be seeing our matchup between Team Axe and Team Revengers in just a little bit. So let's see. I think the first game TDS is just gonna be more of dictating the type of play style each team has, right? It's kind of like getting to know someone, getting to know the team first on what they will put out. But I think knowing the meta right now, it's still gonna be a matter of supports. It's just gonna be the question's just gonna be is who's going to ban away the supports, who's actually gonna be left open here for the teams to take.
Exactly. Who will be able to play the better support, or what sort of um, focus are the teams going to go for in terms of these supports? How much value are they going to give them? Like, these are the sort of questions we're asking ourselves, and we probably are going to get in that first game. Like you're mentioning, the first game, especially in BO3s, feels more so like a slight test to see what works and what doesn't, how both of these teams want to try and set themselves up in the series. And then the second and the third one really the decisive ones. It was exactly like that in the previous series, where the first game completely dominated by the side of Arcantie, but it really was just kind of a test to see what both of these teams kind of wanted to go for, or what direction they wanted to go for in draft and in game. And then second and third one, it was a complete difference because Boyd knew what they wanted and Arcantie knew what they wanted as well, and the clash of styles ended up going in favor of Boyd.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like there was just a lot of heroes open, right? And like what I mentioned, I think that based on the on how they drafted in game number two, right? They go for actually almost the same heroes in the last game and just sealed the fate there
Yep.
of Arcantie, right? They just really struggled in that game. I was actually hoping that they pick up one or two of the heroes coming out from Void Esports, but they're like, no, we'll actually just let it all open, give it all to Void Esports, and yeah, it was just difficult to bounce
Yep.
back from the situations. I think match number one once again for Team Revengers and Team Axe, we'll have to find out what type of playstyle they have, and based on their drafts, based on their bans as well, which will be happening real soon. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be a best out of three. So we're gonna be fighting out, yeah, who's gonna be able to take at least the match point at least after this first game. So it's gonna be a race to two games, a two-game win to be able to win the series, and of course go over to our quarterfinals that will be happening shortly.
So now we'll be able to start off the final series of the day and know who else will qualify towards those playoffs. But at the end of the day, it's important to see how they are going to perform. What answers are we going to get in terms of what the meta feels like currently and all those stuff, and which team feel confident? Because also another big thing that we had in the previous series was that initial confidence in the first game, but then Boyd finding their stride and being able to play with that confidence themselves.
Yep, and that's gonna be it, right? Like blue side, we have here Team Axe. Over on the red side here, we also have Team Revengers here, both going to have to face each other off here for the chance to be in our quarterfinals alongside Void Esports that just qualified earlier. And now let's see. I think the teams are just taking their time. Nolan, I think, still gonna be on top. I also personally banned this myself when I play ranked games. It's just so hard to deal with him. Or if you let him open, a very simple answer is actually obvious. But I think as of the moment, right, the teams are just going to be taking it away, as well as the Fanny. Respect towards the side of Team Axe.
Two really respectful bands, but here comes the question of the day: the supports. After Nolan and Fanny, now we see the Angela coming through. Maybe a Matilda Hover as well here for the potential next ban, but trying to stay on the same trajectory that we saw in the previous game. Surprised though that the Nolan comes in from the blue side and not from the red side.
Yeah, usually you'd like to pick it up. Like if you're that type of team that hasn't been able to practice with the Nolan yet, you'd really ban it away. So I mean, I think it's just one less problem to deal with once you ban it away. And if you're not comfortable with using it yet, you can just put it up on the ban list. And here's the thing: I love seeing the Fredrin shine, especially after the buffs that was given to him, because I remember the first time Fredrin was released, he wasn't actually a very popular pick, right? It took some time for him to settle down in the meta as well. So now here's the thing. Angela, Matilda has been banned away. Joy as well. So if you're talking about the meta here, the Novaria is still pretty much open for the taking.
Yep.
If you're talking about the meta, some other supports are also
Valentina
open,
as well,
but
actually.
usually, yeah, I mean, if you want to be safe, right, you just pick up the Valentina. It just really limits your opponents as well if you pick up the Valentina. Like if once you have the Valentina up, you're not gonna be able to pick up those heroes that have very powerful ultimates. So I think if for Team Axe, if they want to be very safe here, Valentina is such a safe choice. But then again, they're gonna open up other things here as well. Like the Novaria can be picked up on the other side, the Terizla as well can be picked up on the other side. So what are you willing to let go of at the moment? So yeah, it's gonna be the safer choice for Axe.
There it
They
is.
pick up the Valentina, so I think this is gonna be the case that Revengers will actually pick up probably a Novaria or a Terizla here, or maybe I think it's a Novaria, or probably maybe a Goldaner or a Jungler. But yeah, I think a Terizla and a Novaria is usually the standard pick when it comes to this type of draft.
Yeah, both work out really, really well. We saw what Trisla potentially can do, as well as the Novaria. Not to its maximum extent, but to its maximum potential. But it's still a really nice duo to go for in this sort of situation. It's going to be the Baxia instead, immediately picked, and I think the Baxia is a fine enough choice. And the Popple and Koopa, I think two that have been popping up much more in the current meta.
Yeah, I think if you've been watching other regions as well, the Popple and Koopa has also been used as a jungler. Care of the buff that was given to him. Actually, they completely ignored the choices that I've made, right? They go actually a different route, which actually forces Axe to pick other things up here as well. So they might actually go for this Lancelot. As I think this will give the Popple and Koopa a hard time. Especially the Lance can really reach the backlines here. Axe as well hovering over this Barrett's. I'm not so sure if this is going to be the case, right? This is going to be a Barrett's XP lane Barrett's because the Lancelot has just been locked in. But you know what? Yeah, very risky because usually I see a Barrett's in the jungle. So they go for their gold lane and said, the Brody. I love this because this Brody, I have always said it in either in my stream or my tutorials that the Brody is just really good. Why is it often overlooked? Because people usually pick like the Beatrix, Iksha Bruno, but the Brody has often been overlooked. So I'm loving it that it's shining here in Arena Esports. Kagura as well being picked up here for the side of Revengers. I think it's also a very safe answer up against the Valentina. Lilia would also be a good choice, but I think that Revengers is just picking up their comfort picks at this point because I've never seen a Popple and Koopa and even a Kagura a very long time that I haven't seen them in professional play.
It's been a while. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Kagura. I actually enjoy playing the hero quite a bit, and it's been surprising the amount of times that I think that there's slight angles where she can work out and people don't actually go for her. So excited to see how it's going to perform. Obviously there's a reason why we don't see her consistently, but I feel like there's good enough opportunities here to make her work out as best as possible.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the player names here for Axe. I see some similar IGNs because I'm not so sure if this is the same Banting from my country. That is just an absolute beast in his lane. So I'm not so sure if this is the same guy, but if this is the same guy, looking at the ban tier of Revengers, it seems like that is the case. They're banning out his heroes. So we'll find out what he picks up here. They still need some roamers here. Yeah, I'm thinking like Estes hasn't been picked up, right? It's just also
Not
a
yet.
healer. Florine as well has never been picked up here in this. It's more of like the Ediths, more of the Bakshas and the Brodies as the storyline here. But looking at the draft here, what do you think so far of this lineup here, TDS? The Popple and Koopa and the Kagura. This has only been picked up once ever, I think, ever since the start of Arena Esports. So what do you think about these two picks so far for the lineup here of Revengers?
Well, overall, I feel like they have a pretty clear idea and identity to what they want to go for. Once again, forcing on the team fights, but I feel like a lot of control in them. Like, there's quite a good amount of CC that they can try and go. If they don't give the opportunity for the Brody to try and move around and carry, I can see them completely destroying a lot of the fights. As the last pick comes through for the side of Revengers. And overall, I'm actually not against what Rangers end up going for. Like, I think their overall team fighting power can be really, really, really good.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Axe, right?
Yeah.
Man, okay, they haven't updated their Wikipedia page just yet, but I'm just really curious if this is the same Banting from my country because he's just crazy on these tank heroes. And just like what I mentioned, right, there were two bans centered towards Banting, so I'm not so sure if this is the same thing. We'll find out later on. I'll actually give him a chat after this if he's the one playing here in Arena Esports. So let's take a look at the lineup here once again. The lineup here of Axe is just very much of burst damage, very much of setups. I'm just worried here about the lineup of Revengers. It's more of like single target, right? They don't really have that much CC.
Yeah.
Plus, if Aizen is actually able to snowball with this Lancelot, well, it's going to be really hard for Silence. It's going to be really hard for Solo as well, especially if this Lancelot can just pop in that Phantom Execution and then that Thorn Rose and can assassinate the backlines.
I just realized we have two Aizens in the same game.
Oh yeah, yeah. An Aizen
It's
with
gonna
a
be
dot and an
difficult
Aizen with a
actually calling
dash.
that out.
Oh
That's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
difficult.
I think we should say Revengers Aizen or I think we just say Lance Aizen. Lance Aizen,
Fair
Edith
enough. Fair
Aizen.
enough.
What's with the name? Is it a very common name? I'm not so sure, but you know what? Solo
Ooh.
being able to go to safety here, popping in that second skill to be able to purify the aggression coming out from Sherry Rosa here. So yeah, no kills just yet, but Team Revengers, we see aggression here, but not that much just yet. We're seeing them try to alleviate their XP lane of the pressure that's being shown by the Yuzong. And of course, this is still gonna be the case, right? XP lane, this is where the turtle will spawn, so they're gonna have to put in as much resources as they can there. Retribution has been used. Here's not Banting, he's just level 2 here. He's not gonna be able to sustain the damage. He has the heals. He flickers out finally to safety and to no avail here for Revengers. They're unable to get anyone 25 seconds before the turtle's up.
Yeah, wanting to hold out onto it as much as possible, but at the end able to escape their banting. Still, really nice approach they went for there, able to survive long enough, and now maybe trying to look for some other potential plays there on the side. The turn. Oh wait, the engage here. Aizen, one of the Aizens dying to the other one.
Aizen versus Aizen. Who's the real damage dealer? Of course, it's gonna be the Lancelot Aizen. It has a lot more damage than the Aizen that's needed. Let's just force to soak up the damage here. It does even a level 4. So great start here by Axe. Turtle's already up. So let's see if Team Revengers will find their revenge here by taking in this next turtle. Banting does not have the flicker. He does not have that level 4 power spike to set up that Minon's Fury. And we see that the team here, Aizen, they're going in for the turtle take. And wow, very nice. Petrify, Terrified. Jed's gonna be the first one to fall as A31 will be able to pop in that ultimate as well. Sherry Rosa falling down reload, doesn't have the vengeance, and that's gonna be 2-4-1 in favor of Team Axe.
Yeah, the Lancelot actually appearing at the right time there. If I'm not wrong, securing both the turtle and the kill onto the bike, the Baxia, which ends up working out really well. And now another engage there, almost killing the Lancelot there. Aizen versus Aizen, neither dies, and the Lancelot escapes with his life.
Aizen versus Aizen. Yeah, Aizen with the dash, Aizen with the period, and now we see A3 as well here, forced to pop in that Primal Rat. Flickers in to try and get solo, and he does get that kill, a solo kill. Well, not for long. He might get actually punished here. There's the onward, and there's the punish by A3, but he's still able to survive with that Arcane Shade out to safety. Wow, nice play coming in from A3. He's able to survive and he's able to get the kill. 10k lead for Team Axe.
Yeah, A3 actually playing really well with the Valentina, and right there we see why the Valentina is such a contested pick, both in terms of bans and in terms of picks. So much value, so much good setup, and able to get the solo kill really effectively there, as Banting has to run away once again, but he doesn't pay the price at the very least.
Yeah. And the Valentina just works so well because there's a lot of plays that you can do with it, plus the ultimates that you can steal here. I mean, there's not a lot, right? Like I guess the usual ultimate at A3 has been picking up is the Primal Wrath of the Edith. Now bottom side, Jed, really low, pops in that Shy Essence, and is gonna be able to get outplayed here by Team Axe as Aizen wreaking havoc here, already on a killing spree on this Lancelot. So if this keeps up, it's gonna be really hard for Revengers. They're gonna be forced to respond on the lanes, and the Lancelot is just so good at escaping as well. So this is not gonna be a very easy catch here for Team Revengers, and I think they're just not gonna contest for this second turtle. They're just gonna give it to Team Axe.
Exactly. The decision here, I think it's a smarter one coming in from the side of Team Revengers, because they are kind of behind the Lancelot you were pointing out, quite strong at this point. Better to try and play around your stronger side, but to try and hover around this your gold laner, because that way at the very least you can try and set him up for success, if not something else. Oh, Banting goes in.
Oh, yeah, Banting goes in for the setup. Aizen's really low, but
really
Banting's
nice
gonna get punished. Not enough setup, not enough damage from 7M Dan. Here comes A3, but Aizen to the rescue, dashing in and out, gets a double. Will he get a triple? Goes in for the retribution, gets that onward, and he actually is able to pick up the kills with the assist of his teammate, and it's an almost wipeout for Team Revengers as Team Axe picks up 4 kills over on the top side.
This Lancelot is a complete monster, and it's taking over the game so effectively. Trying to hover over your gold laner was a smart idea, I think, for Revengers, but the commitment ends up biting them back, and at the end, they lose out on so many stuff, because it's not only the Lancelot that keeps on getting stronger, but also the Brody collecting gold on his side, able to now maybe because later on as well. Ooh,
Yep,
Sherry.
and yeah. 503 on this Lancelot. Sherry as well forced to pop in that vengeance. Aizen, that's gonna be the Edith. Aizen once again taken out here by the Aizen Lancelot. And now we see the dash in and out. There's a setup from Banting, but at Nets it's not enough as Aizen once again the Lancelot dashes in and out. But there's the outplay. There's the punish. A double kill for 7M Dan as they're trying to get more here. Team Axe, they take down one member. They're able to shut down the Lancelot, but the turrets are falling down one by one as Team Axe, they're just gonna go for more. Look at the damage coming out from 7M Dan. Wow, just one torn apart member. He's gonna be able to take one member down, and we're just in the turtle here. Just 6 minutes in here, TDS. Man, Team Axe, 12 kills, 2 turrets, and 2 turtles to boot.
They are so far ahead. Aizen may have died in the previous one and give it up a shutdown, but it's not going to matter that much because it's looking like it's going to be another turtle collected. Not much contest going to come through. And honestly, if Revengers try to go for a team fight here once again, I feel like that could be game dooming if they try to force it. So at the end though, able to play around it really nicely, and now trying to set up for another turret take.
Yeah, let's see if this is going to be enough because there's just so much pressure here from Team Axe. 7M Dan just dealing out so much damage with the Brody. I think today it's all gonna be the story of the Brody, the Valentinas, and even the Ediths as well. But now Solo as well, all alone there. He's gonna be able to get in the knockup from the Minotaur. And again, Team Axe just winning in all those trades. Even the other members aren't able to do anything at this point, and the rest of the members of Team Axe are just split pushing across the map. Look at the Jed and Aizen. They're just split pushing across the map, and now even Boruto is not even able to deal with the damage from the Brody. He's not able to escape the torn apart memories. This tears him apart even as he goes back to the safety of his own base. It's not enough. Team Axe on the lead, 28k gold as Aizen just being able to showcase his dashing skills 50 seconds before the first Lord is up. TDS, what can Team Revengers do here?
Pray. I feel like that's the best option. Pray that something goes wrong on the side of Team Axe and they can try and turn around the game, because if it's trying to look for a play, it's really difficult to find something. They are pigeonholed into their own jungle, not even into their own jungle, into their own base to a certain degree. They are trying to look for as many resources as they can, but it's not looking positive. Look at the engage here again.
Yep, Aizen's going for the backlines. He's going for silence. He's actually really low, but he's actually able to escape with the help of his teammates. But you know what, Team Axe, they're not going to overcommit towards that one. I think Aizen could have at least pulled up a kill or two there, but because of the Lord here, it actually forced Aizen and the rest of Team Axe to be a little bit more careful with the engage. And here it comes. Speaking of the Lord, Team Axe wasting no time here and start up this Lord as Team Revengers. I think they're just willing to let this one slide, right? Because if they lose the team fight, it's just going to be Team Axe going to be able to push forward, right? Knowing now that there's only their inhibitors left here in this match. So I think what you're trying to say here, TDS, is Team Axe can get punished for overextending. But Team Revengers as well, they have to capitalize on that. But so far, right, they are really struggling to find the opening here to get in the pickoffs, because Aizen has been assassinating their damage dealers, has been assassinating silence at that. Well, just picked up the Wind Talker, by the way. Here comes the Lord marching in on the mid side towards the base of Team Revengers.
The interesting part though there is that because of the position of the Lord, I think a bit easier for them to try and collapse and protect this, although there's going to be multiple lanes pushing in. But I do think that they can try and stop this, although there's an immediate engage going into the back line. That's such a huge knockup there, and probably the end of the game after that.
Yep, that's gonna be the members here of Team Revengers wiped out after that engage. They're gonna lock in the base as Team Axe will take in game number 1.
talk about a way to end it. Flashy engaged by the Minotaur. You're already kind of hyping him up, but I can see why the engage is working out so well. Such a good first game coming in by Team Axe, and honestly, it's looking scary because their focus was really smart in how they approached the game, and the heroes that they were able to get feel like they shouldn't have been able to get them at all in the way that they did. So for the next game, going to be interesting seeing how stuff will change for the side of Team Revengers and how much stuff will try and change. I probably think they are not going to go once again for the Kagura. It feels like after how the game started with her.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the Kagura pick and even the Popple and Koopa, right? It's so far off from the meta. I would have at least expected maybe like let go of the Novario or maybe even a Lilia, but it was just a little bit uncontemporary for Team Revengers. But I guess it maybe it's just them playing with their comfort picks, right? But Team Axe is a team that is very seasoned. They've been very accomplished as well in their respective regions, and once again, they just showcase their power here in game number one, picking up the first game here of the series. By the way,
And in a really strong fashion, I would say. Maybe not the perfect game we saw in the first series, but certainly pretty similar in terms of how much control and how much they were able to do without giving up a lot of things either. And if that's going to be the idea of the series for Team Max, Team Revengers needs to find some way of trying to counter as much as possible. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but next time when they go potentially on the blue side, I feel like that's how most teams try and affront the second game after losing on the red side. They just change sides and try and get the first pick they really, really want to. I'm kind of curious how they are going to try and change it, and maybe they give up a couple of their bans to try and secure a really, really strong hero.
hmm. Yeah, seems like I think it is the same Bante. I'm actually checking out his social media right now, like
Oh
right
yeah,
before the game ended. I was like, okay, is this the same Bante? Because he's an absolute beast here in the amateur scene. He actually played for a couple of amateur tournaments, so I was wondering where he went because they actually released their roster here. Just to give you guys a little background, they released their roster here in the Philippines. So I was like wondering where these guys went because they're actually really good. So after a few months, I'm actually checking his story. So he's actually over playing actually for Team Axo. I think this is the same one for Team Axo. It just really elevates the playstyle of Team Axe even further because he's been so known for his aggressive tanks, and you can kind of see it from the bans there, TDS, right? They
yeah.
respected the Cho, they respected even the Grok here of Banting. So it was just you can kind of see that the teams just know very well what the comfort picks of Team Axe is. I think apart from all of that, Aizen just had snowballed from the start. He was shut down one time,
Yeah.
but eventually, you know what? It didn't matter for Aizen, the Lancelot Aizen, like what I was saying, because seven M Dan, the Brody was already dishing out too much damage. So Aizen just did his work, made
Yeah.
sure that Brody was able to scale up, and it's all good here for Team Axe for this game.
Yeah, like we're going to say here to see here with the highlights. The scary part wasn't only the fact that the Lancelot was able to snowball out of control and be a really, really strong factor for the later stage of the game. It was also the fact that because of that snowball, it enabled the rest of the heroes to get ahead in the game as well. And as you're mentioning, you get the Lancelot really far ahead. You get now the Brody to be really, really strong. And now what tools do you have to stop both of them? You can stop maybe one, but both of them is a really difficult affair, and that's exactly what ended up happening there for Team Revengers. As we see the highlights, also the Valentina finding so much value. We see why it's been perma-banned in the previous series, and now this time around, gets through, able to find so much value by herself and with the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, I think for Team Axe, they were just so willing to do the dives here. Because they just have so much
Yep.
resources. If you take a look at this, yeah, that would have been at least a maniac for Aizen, right? But it didn't matter because Team Axe just
True.
wanted to pick up the kills here. And I think what really made it different here for Team Axe was they were able to deal with the Edith. Yes, he was able to get the onwards onto two, but by the time that Bunting was able to set up the place, what made it really different here for Team Axe is they were able to get that follow up, right? 7M Dan was just
Yeah.
right behind Bunting. He was the one actually calling in the shots here for Team Axe, and yeah, even there were times that they were almost getting taken down here by Team Revengers. Team Axe was just able to actually find openings time and time again, and even here, as you can see, Boruto. I think this was the time that um he was actually gonna go away. He's like, "Oh, that's too much damage." But yeah, you know what? The Brody can actually reach you even a few yards away. That's actually what the torn apart memories does. And yeah, and after the slower TDS, it was just too much for Team Revengers to handle. And by the time they reach that last clash, I think we'll finally find out what actually happened there because it was a wipeout for Team Revengers.
It really was. Well, they got a great, an amazing engage, and after that, it's really easy to just make everything explode with their damage, with the really good engage, and with the value that they already had. It's just such good control, and it goes to show how well their team was prepped to try and destroy the side of Team Revengeless. Now, adaptation wise, one thing that sticks out to me immediately that we didn't talk much about in draft, but that obviously we talked about a lot in the previous series is the lack of the fire mace, right? We didn't see the fire mace being hovered or even being banned away. And now, is this an indication that maybe the series will have a lack of fire mace? Will the supports not be as valuable as maybe having much more damage focus for your carries, like the Lancelot and the Brody in this case? And will that be the difference maker? Will the Valentina be banned away once again? Like, those are the kind of stuff that I'm looking forward to in the second game because those had way too much impact.
Yeah, I think also the thing here is the Banting being able to play. I know I've been hyping him up for quite some time because I'm just
Yep,
so excited to see him play here, and he's brought a different flavor here to Axe. Right, he enabled so much from Aizen, from 7M Dan, and even A3 here. His setups were on point. And I think the difference here from the first series was Banting's Minotaur actually had the follow up from Team Axe, right? And looking at the
agree.
build here of 7M Dan, he actually picked up the BOD quite early on, right? Picking up the Maleficora BOD. Even someone as tanky as Boruto will not be able to sustain the damage output that you're putting out as a Brody. And even I think Sherry Rosa here and the rest of the members here of Revengers were forced to pick up either Dominance Isis or even Brute Force Breastplate just to counter out not just 7M Dan, but also Aizen. The Lancelot here of Aizen was just too much deal with. And I actually thought he was building a damage Lancelot. Yeah, he actually went for the tank Lancelot build, which is actually something
Yeah.
that we haven't seen for quite some time.
Well, it enabled him to be a bit more survivable and not throw away the lead that he had. It feels like maybe because of the lead that he had, probably thought, okay, I can just survive long enough that I can deal damage anyway because I'm so far ahead, and it shouldn't matter that much if I'm building tank or damage in that sense. And I think that probably was the logic behind it. That being said, it probably won't go that way if the Lancelot doesn't get as far ahead as he did. Like, the difference maker here is how far ahead the Lancelot got so early on in the game. And if the Lancelot is not ahead, then will he go the similar approach? Will he actually instead go for damage? That is another thing to look forward to, because one thing that I wanted to mention that does help a lot for Team Max that I'm glad you bring up with Banting thing as well, that if you're forced to ban away two champions that he's known for, and he still can pull up a Minotaur that will have this sort of impact, are you actually willing to commit more bans then if it's not going to matter when thinking about what champions he's able to play? In that sense, do you now go instead for another champion to try and pigeonhole the enemy team in a different way? Maybe take away from the carries or from the jungle itself.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to consider here for Avengers TDS. Do you actually limit
Yep.
out Aizen, or do you limit out Banting, or do you even limit out the mid laner here? Because there's just a, I think with the meta right now, it's just there's a lot, right? Like pick your poison, pick out
Yep.
whichever hero yet you want to pick up, right? Because so far here we're seeing the drafts being made here. It's gonna be Rangers over on the blue side, and red side is gonna go to Team Axe. And once again, Revengers respecting the Fanny here of I believe it's gonna be Aizen, right? They're not gonna let it slide for this game. Are they gonna actually take away the Lancelot that had a spectacular performance, or is Boruto or is their jungler gonna go for the Lancelot themselves?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting decision here where they want to try and take away. And it makes sense they ban away this sort of more assassin type of carries for Aizen to not have as much freedom and mobility as possible to try and carry the game out. Now, will they try and put even more pressure on him? That's kind of the question that we're both asking ourselves. And also, what are they going to open if they open up bans for that? Because in the previous game, if I'm not wrong, they had Matilda and the Matilda as well included Joy now ban. So maybe do they open up the Matilda ban here instead?
Oh, wow. It's a very early ban on the show here of
That's an
Bunting.
early
I think
show.
they're really yeah, they're really anticipating like they might actually without I think at this point like the blue side for Team Revengers, they can pretty much ban out whatever they want, leave out the supports here, make sure that Axe is actually the one to ban it away. Since they're on the blue side, they can actually pick it up first.
True.
There's also the question of the Valentina here. And just as I mentioned it, there you have it. The ban goes
Yep.
through. Actually, I don't think Revengers is going to pick it up for themselves. I think that's a double support ban. So here we have it. Novaria, Nolan, there you have it. It's going to make its appearance here for the very first time. But I think Axe knows this very well. They should actually have some answer to this. Or will they pick up maybe something along the lines of Novaria or Terizla? Or will they go for, again, something like that they did in the first game? Or maybe even pick up their comfort picks as early as now.
Well, they could actually go for the Grok here for Banting and try and secure something. Instead, they go for the Deep here. And maybe now the Terizla just to close it out and have as much follow-up onto the Edith as possible. Like, I like the duo between Edith and Terizla. I think they work out really well. So wouldn't be against the pick going through here.
Yeah, I like this Edith pick too because it's really it's a very safe choice. You don't it's a flex picks I would say because you don't really know where it goes. Will it go to the roam? Actually, some people actually flex it to go to the XP lane, but I think as of the moment, right, with how teams are playing it here in this tournament, it seems like the Edith is more towards the roam side. But I like this power pick coming through from Revengers. They actually picked up the Nolan here. Will they go for the same draft here? I actually do appreciate the Popple and Koopa. It can actually clear out the waves fast. It can poke well too. So they just need a little bit more assistance. So this time they actually bring a lot more CC because this is something that they didn't have in game number 1. So they lock in this Popple and Koopa. So they're actually gonna still go for this. But TDS, this actually pushes the lane pretty fast if you're able to give it the space.
Overall, I'm not against the Popple, and also, like you were mentioning, the Kufra was banned away in the second phase in the previous game, so this time around, taking it here, I'm not actually against it. I think having more setup, especially now that you have the Nolan and the Popple, probably works out really well for them, enabling them to try and get as much damage down as possible. And it's not a champion that a hero that I feel like needs to do a lot to get things done really well, as the Kadita gets big.
Oh, hold on. It's not only the draft here that changed for Team Revengers, but look at Team Axe. They actually changed their player here. It's no longer A3 playing on the mid lane. It's actually Nanos X. So let's see if this will actually bring a more aggressive mid laner, because looking at the Kadita, usually these are the type of mid laners that are so good with Valentina, that are so good with the mages, like even Selena, right? The assassin type of mages that can really make it a hard time for the Popple and Koopa. I have yet to see as well the Kaja here in case this Edith will be going to the XP lane. So they take away another hero that can poke, which is the Novaria, which has actually been overlooked by our teams here in the first phase.
Yeah, taking it away right now as they went for the Kadita, they are now taking the Novaria. So taking a hit onto probably the mages that we see more commonly in that sense. Now, like you were mentioning, the Lancelot, the last ban, but I'm surprised we haven't seen the Kaja at all. Even just Hubbard. Like, it's surprising that a hero that I feel like has so much value, it's kind of overlooked. But yeah, it wasn't banned. It's probably going to go to Banting here.
Yeah, I think this was a respect ban that was given in game number 1. I was actually expecting Axe to pick it up for their last pick, right? But since they consider the Kadita as well, they need to have that range. I really like this draft from Revengers, right? They got 2 solid front lines, 2 tanks at that, to tank up the damage, as compared to Axe that has more of like the pick-off types, more of the 7 type. I think their only problem here is going to be the Grok here of Bunting. Once it lands that nice wild charge, especially on the board, especially on that Popple and Koopa, it's going to be really hard. And the thing too is Axe needs to contain this Nolan as well for it not to snowball.
Yeah, it should be an interesting affair how they are going to try and look into most of the potential from the side of Team Revengers. Like you were mentioning, the Nolan probably looking like the maybe the biggest threat, if not one of the main ones, 100% one of the ones that you will try and focus as much as possible. But if they are able to find good picks on the side of Team X, I do think that they have good tools to try and find the picks and try and blow out someone as soon as they come out.
Wow. Wow. Can I just say wow?
And the
Because
Jin.
while we were talking about all of the like Nolan, right? That's the first time it popped up. But the Yin, I get so excited when I see this in professional play because I'm just very curious on how the teams will utilize it. Because I've seen this being used like only once in my entire casting career that I've seen this Yin being used as a jungler. And I think it's a great answer to the
Did it
Gord and the
work?
Popper group of yes, it did work for that team. It actually
Okay.
came down to a point where they had to ban the Yin. But I think I don't know. Have you ever encountered this hero? Because I really hate this, especially when you're playing in the lower rank. This hero can just really one hit you, especially if you get into the domain expansion. I mean, it's rocking a Jujutsu Kaisen skin. So yeah, I mean, once you get enclosed in that domain or you get trapped by the Yin, it's so difficult to get out, right? Especially if you're really squishy, especially if you're playing a Gord and a Popple and Koopa. Not unless they're gonna build an extra tank here. So again, snowball factor is very important here, TDS, for both the Nolan and the Yin to be able to get the items that they need to be able to dish out the damage that they want. But again, you have to consider as well the comfort picks coming out from the side of Team Axe. Bunting's gonna be unleashing his Grok here for this game.
Pretty much already looking to try and make stuff happen as aggressive as possible. I like this from Banting. One thing that was pretty clear in the previous game, worked out sometimes, didn't work out others, but it's the aggressiveness that he tries to look for certain picks and try and just set up immediately for the team. Sometimes it works, sometimes obviously you can get messed up. Oh wait, R4 already a bit forced into
Oh,
the turret.
no!
Immediate engage there.
Okay, so here's the
was so
thing
well done.
about very well done there by Aizen. Aizen on the Kufra this time. But you know, Team Axe actually finds another one for themselves solo as well, getting killed there by Team Axe. And now we see Banting rotating over here to the top side. Petrify has been unleashed, so they aren't going to be able to use that. R4 was actually taken out quite early because this is something that they need to do for Avengers, right? Make sure that their gold laner is farmed up because we haven't seen Silence so much in game number 1.
It wasn't really a good opportunity for the Popple to really pop off because consistently he was getting shut down and that came from the Lancelot being really far ahead. But if you're able to enable Popple to find a lot of value, as we see Jed also dying, the Dieth not really finding the kill, and Gord as well, the Jin. Okay, it's been a 1-for-1 actually. It's 1-for-1, but the Jin gaining the kill is actually not a bad trade if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Aizen just locked him up there. I think 2 hits was able to delete the solo there from the map. And we see Boruto here as well. It's a bit slow here, but look at how fast he's chunking down that turtle. Aizen gonna dive in onto Jed on the Edith. Let's see who's gonna be able to take it. It's gonna be Boruto with the retribution. And now we see Jed falling down real low. There's the glorious pathway onto Jed, but there's the knockup from the Kadita. Vengeance gonna be popped here. But Jed is not going to be able to survive. There's a bit of rush from the backside as Banting will fall down as well. Double kill for Sherry Rosa.
Yeah, the plan not working out the best. Wait, oh, that's again Jin looking for the kill. I like that Aizen is looking so proactively aggressive for this sort of plays, even if they don't work out the best.
You know what's really funny about having the Yin, right? Like everybody camps out after you're done. But whoa, wait, hold on, Banting! He goes in for the wild charge, and now Sherry Rosa with 1 HP left goes in for the glorious pathway and is able to escape Team Axe with the nice answer, with the nice follow-up.
Really lucky escape there at the end, able to run away, but one engage by Banting, getting the double knockup, getting the kill. It's still not the best of spots to be in as Team Axe because they are quite behind in gold, but overall able to go tit for tat in some of these plays, working out for them to a really good degree.
Jed as well being able to push down the bottom side. He's able to get that half gold plating care of this. I like this Hylos pick, right? It's just really cancel out the fact that Jed isn't able to go in for the place. Banting once again goes in for the knockup, goes in for the wild charge, but you're not able to get anyone. Instead, he gets in close in the domain. Aizen gonna wait for the proper moment. Aizen, he's gonna be able.
He's dead, yeah.
No, he's not. He's actually down. Here's the downside about having the yin, right? Like, if you actually don't manage to pick off your opponent inside your domain, it's gonna bounce back. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. But here we have Solo popping in that Purify. Nano's not gonna be able to commit more here, as he knows that Aizen's just around the corner here. And here's the thing too, TDS. What makes it really hard here for Team Axe is the Qualifier of Aizen that has just been so he's not frugal when it comes to his flickers, right? When it comes to his dives, because he's just been setting up the place here for Team Revengers so far.
Yeah. And it's been really consistent the way that they've been able to set up things going for their team, and I like how aggressive they are looking. Ooh, missing out themselves there, but still looking for the play here onto the bot side. Jed almost died there.
Yep, he pops in that Primal Rat, but that's gonna be Jed falling. Boruto picking up the kill. Ghost tries to go in for Bunting, picks up the double, and now we see that Aizen, the Yin, not being able to get anyone at that. And look at the damage coming through for Boruto. Forces the Petrify and the rough waves out here for Nano's X. So we can kind of see 201 onto Boruto, right? On this Nolan. It's just so much damage already. Level 8. And Aizen as well, level 8. But he hasn't been able to get the pickoffs that he wants. And if you actually see the map here, TDS, the Popple and Koopa, Silence has actually been able to push that top side while everyone else is busy with the clashes here.
Oh, wait.
Yep.
Popple?
Yep, just as you were saying,
That's
Silence. He's just... Yep, Bunting once again with the setup. But they have to do more than that here for Team Axe, right? They're just so good at setting up. They're just so good at pickoffs. But they aren't able to convert their pickoffs just yet. They have 5 kills, so now without Silence, they have to at least push this tower on the top side as Bunting already positioning themselves here, making sure that our core is able to move forward, is able to push in this turret on the top side.
Trying to get back a bit of the goal in their favor with this turret falling down. They are looking for nanos maybe, but Banting is in a really good spot to try and answer back just in case. It's interesting how both of these teams are looking for the plays in their favor. There's really good calls that both of them can try and do, but I feel like right now with Aizen's Kufra, it's much easier for them to try and set up something, and with the Nolan being this far ahead compared to the Jin, I think they can force fights much better like this.
Yep. Wow, the positioning there of Solo, right? Aizen was taken out, but yeah, you know what? Boruto on a killing spree, and the timing as well, the Mystic Gush of Solo was impeccable. He was able to take down 3 Bunting with the setup, but then again, like what I mentioned, Team Axe has to do more than that because they need to pick off the back lines here. And Aizen, the Yin Aizen, like what I mentioned, right? He hasn't been able to take anyone down because of the solid frontline that Team Revengers has so far. So they have to at least shut down Boruto here, or they have to at least take down the damage dealers before they go in for the team fight.
Yeah, precisely. The difference here is that it doesn't feel like Jin can try and secure the kills onto the carries when he gets onto the main, whereas it's much easier on the other side for the Nolan, as they find the Popple, but probably not going to turn into any kills, especially with the Kufra and also the Popple ready to answer back. Ooh.
Yep. Oh, Bunting with the flicker in. There's the engage. There's the petrified. Silence
so
falls. Aizen goes in, and he actually locks up Solo there. Oh man, he gets a double kill, and he's actually gonna go for more. Tries to go in for Aizen, but that's not gonna be enough as Team Axe picks up what they want, and Aizen goes straight for that turtle, and it's all because of the setup of Bunting here with that Gronk, and now Team Revengers onto their backsides. And now, as we see, if we notice, Team Axe has been off to a slow start, but they've picked up 3 turrets here, 24k. I mean, Team Revengers is still in a 500 gold lead, but then again, right, they are showing signs of life right now. Jed is taking in all the damage. Here comes Cherry Rosa, hasn't popped in the ultimate yet, but mega kill for Boruto. There's the glorious pathway. Everyone's backing away. Cherry Rosa tagging up all the damage, but they're not gonna go for more.
Jin waiting to come back, not finding the kill, and actually ends up dying there. Even looking aggressive into it, R4 almost being a victim as well. do the damage that the side of Team Revengers had, and after such a good initial play, or after such a good play that the side of Team Axe was able to do to try and come back, now once again back to steps in the on the stairway. Really difficult for them to set themselves back up, and yet not a good game at all. 1-5 and not really finding the stride they want to with this did.
Yeah, and look at how fast they're pushing the turrets, right? Even though Team Axe was able to find something, again, they have to do so much more than that because Team Revengers as well, they're cashing in as much as they can get right now. Aizen as well. Jed, he's gonna take in the damage here from that Mystic Gush. He's taking up all the damage, and there's gonna be no follow-up as well here for Team Axe. Wow. Jed is just not having a good day here. 161, but here comes the bounce back. Here comes the wall charge from Banting, but they're able to pick off Silence here. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. Aizen as well, being able to push down that tower here on the top side. So at least Team Axe here, they are taking in objectives, right? Even though they know that Team Revengers has been winning those team fights.
Yeah, at the very least, gaining objectives back is almost always going to be worth it. In the same vein that they also got the Popol, so trying to stay as close as possible. Yes, you're giving up your edit, but finding value any way you can, it's almost always going to be great for them. As the Lord is already on the map, teams trying to set up for it. Although the Revengers is much closer to the Lord, they are sending Edith down there to the bottom to maybe try and push a bit of the wave and be able to collect an objective. But it could be a dangerous situation here, especially with so little members here around the area. Do they not think they can take the 5?
Yeah, I think their problem here is not just the Nolan, it's Cherry Rosa's high loss here. That has just been such a problem. It just isolates all the members of your team. Max, but you might see a play here. R4 going in for solo. Aizen as well with the bouncing ball. Jed as well trying to look for someone. Silence is all alone there. Positioning is just not right here for Team Revengers. Killing spree for the Kadita, and now it's only Cherry Rosa here. He's trying to get R4 here. He has that glorious pathway available, but it's not enough. As finally Jed will be able to take him down. Aizen as well on Aizen. But fortunately enough for Team Revengers, they were able to take the Lord. So at least that gives them some breathing space. But that's 4 members down here for their side. But then again, Axe, they have to do more than that. They have to push in the towers. They have to melt down the Lord as well.
Yeah, they have to try and do something else apart from just getting the victory, although collecting the turrets here may end up being really valuable for them, plus pushing the Lord down there over on the ball side. They actually killed Nolan! Wait, they find such a big pickup. Porto dead and the shutdown going to Banting. Not sure how it happened, but such a good pick, and now the play completely turning around for the set of Team Axe. Stop pushing the waves and getting so much gold all the way at Banting.
And now we see Aizen getting zoned out there by Silence. There's the glorious pathway by Cherry Rosa. As well from the backside, Ninos X assassinates Silence. And now we see the members here of Team Axe are all completed alive. Cherry Rosa going to be able to tank up the damage, but not for long, as R4 is on a killing spree. And now it's only Boruto and Aizen left here. Can they make it? Because Team Axe, they're just taking them down 1-5-1. They're just buying some time. Oh no, 4 members down. They can go for a one-way here. Boruto's just clearing out the lanes. But I think they can actually end this. Boruto can still go for the plays, but you know what? Team Axe is just gonna make sure that they take this methodically as they win in fights after fight. And it all started with the shutdown onto Boruto and winning that clash.
Exactly, the shutdown on Boruto makes a 5 before, and even though they lose the Jin really early on, it's not like it's going to be the worst part out of anything, because they can actually keep the and have R4 just deal the damage from a safe distance. Also, huge props to Nanosex. They killed the Jin, and immediately we see the Kadita going in it, blowing up the Popol and able to provide so much support, even if she's in a bad spot. And I think perfectly played there by Nanosex.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Team Axe, they are starting to win their team fights right now, so let's see if they can keep up, right? But wow, that is a big pick off by Revengers. They just took down Aizen. 5-5-3 on this Yin. Again, it's a hit or miss here. And now we see that Nanos as well, they have to back away because numbers advantage are on the side of Team Revengers. They're gonna look to try and take the sword because Aizen's already down. Half HP, look at how fast the Nolan is combined with the Poplar Koopa, but I think Team Axe are just gonna go for the pickoffs here. Silence falls, and who takes the Lord? Yep, it is going to be Team Revengers picking up the Lord, but once again, Team Axe, they're looking to try and get that wipeout. Solo forced to pop in that Purify, but will it be enough? The Primal Red is not enough. Oh no, they got the Lord. This is the same thing again. Can they get the... Oh, they find Boruto, they find him. So he's able to stash out as Team Axe continues the pressure here. Are they gonna even consider this Lord?
Are they gonna
try to go for the push. Yeah, but again, there's so much. But they goes in for the knock-up. Boruto's down, and now it's only Sherry, Rosa, and Aizen left here.
Oh, what a nice roll.
These are being popped. BODs have been made, and now Nano, he's just wrecking havoc here as Silence is back up once again. Solo will be up as well after a few more seconds, and Team Axe, they're just winning all those team fights, but they aren't able to close out because of the objective takes that are being taken in by Revengers.
Ooh, Jad in a bad spot, but maybe they can take back the kill into Aizen. Oh, he's fast enough. They are not able to collect the kill. Even though that's the case, the damage has been done. They are able to get inside of the base. They are able to blow even more structures down out of the map, and now they have complete control over the map. They can do whatever the hell they want before they wait for the next Lord to spawn, or if they want to try and take a team fight victory and close out the game as soon as they can. That's also another option.
I think the problem here of Avengers is Nano's X. Because he's been doing a great job. Like, imagine every single member of Avengers, they're just putting all their resources to tank up for Silence or Solo, right? But what happens? They get assassinated by Nanos. Just one Petrify, one Ref Phase combo is enough to delete that. Delete Silence, delete Solo. I think Solo has a little bit more leeway because he has that Purify. But here's the thing, 16 minutes in, here's the part where if someone makes a fatal mistake, it is gonna cost them their life. And now
Wade
here, yep, he's forced to flicker out, so that's one resource wasted out from Team Revengers. So he's not gonna be able to be as aggressive when it comes to the dice. But there you have it. He goes in for Nano's X, just as I was calling it. He actually finds a pick off here, and now Team Axe disarray of what to do now because damage dealer is out. R4 to be able to stay in. Vengeance is up, so R4 is not going to be able to do anything. He's actually going to run away from Sherry Rosa. Solo gets picked off, but then they hide the shutdown onto 2 as Team Revengers says it's not over yet for this game. 60 minutes into the Lord. Are they going to commit for more? One thing, Jed going in for the onward. Sherry Rosa's just so tanky. He's such a menace to deal with here for the side of Team Axe as they bounce back, they back away here because their damage dealers are not up just yet. Wait, are they gonna go for it?
Wait,
Rival Red has
Sherry
been popped here.
able to survive.
Yep. Oh, Panting! Once again with the wild charge, and now Jed goes in for the knock-up. They're just buying some time here for the damage dealer. So come up, but
Boruto's dead, actually.
He gets into the domain expansion, just buying some time. Isolated clashes here for Team Axis, but they're just not letting up here. This is so tanky as Aizen. He's able to spot one.
And
could this be the end? Could this be the end? As Aizen picks up a double, and now Sherry Rosa and Solo left to defend this space. Minion waves are coming in as well. I'm not so sure if they're gonna go for the Lord here, TDS, because this might just be it. As R4 as well, maybe there to join the party. They go in for the mid expansion as Solo gets locked in, and now it's only Sherry Rosa. It's a wipeout for Team Axe, and they take the series with a 2-0.
And what a performance by Team Axe, taking the series there 2-0. After the start of the game was looking a bit rocky, Team Revengers were able to collect so many good advantages, but Axe finding pick after pick in really good manner. And huge props to the Kadira. The Jin, kind of weird with how it went in some of the plays, but huge props to the Kadira. Huge props to Banting on that Grog, making the plays, making play after play, finding the right targets, and setting up the team for success. Huge props to Team Axe and fully deserved victory.
Yeah, I mean there were times that okay, can Team X actually make it? There were times that they were actually losing the team fights, right? Because of Sherry Rosa, because of
Yeah,
all the tanks that Team Revengers just fielded out in this game. But Team X, they were just able to get those isolated kills, right? In the last
yeah,
few minutes of the game, and now they close it out with a clean sweep, and now they actually qualify to the quarterfinals alongside Void Esports here. The qualifiers, the qualifiers for Q2. So they will be moving forward. Nicely done, nicely executed. They started out slow, but they managed to close out the game.
exactly. It was difficult. The Revengers trying to put up the best fight possible, trying to make the most out of the plays that they were looking for. And I think they did a really, really good job at the start of it, but letting it slip slowly but surely. And at the end, they are not able to find a way back into the game, find a victory, and try and take us into a game three. For Team Max, now that they are secured to go into into the next round of it, that I'm excited to see how they play. Like I wasn't, I didn't know much about Benting. I'm a believer now of Benting. I'm excited to see how he's going to keep on performing, what he's going to provide for the team, and how much value will he bring forth.
Definitely, right? I hyped this guy up really well, and you can kind of see it
Yeah,
from the bands, right? Respect, but they completely forgot one pick, which
exactly.
was the ground. I think overall, apart from Bunting, everyone else, Nanos X, I think on the Candida performed really well.
Agree.
R4 on the Bruno as well. I think it's just me hyping up Bunting because he's able to protect his teammates well. So kudos to Nanos X. I think they will not be able to last that long if Nanos X was not able to pull off those assassinations, especially on the Popol and Koopa, especially on the board. So there was just so much to deal with here for the side of for the side of yeah for the side of Team Axe, right? Because they had so much
Yeah,
assassins, they had so much heroes that can do the pickoffs that the for Team Revengers they have to decide like, okay, who do we have to avoid first? Is it the Yin, or is it the the Grox Wildcard, or is it even the Kadita here that can just assassinate the backline? So again, if you're the damage dealer, positioning is going to be really hard.
exactly. I think the Kadita turned out to be the biggest threat of all. Like Jin, and I think this is what happened to Revengers in most of the fights. They were baited by the image of what Jin is, I think. And they didn't realize the Kadita was a bigger threat because the Jin feels like, and this is more so I would say on the mental part of the players where they feel like the Jin will be a bigger threat, but just by virtue of what the Jin does and what it may provide for the rest of the team, because it's such an out of nowhere pick, you feel like it's going to be a bigger threat and you want to focus it. And I think that that ended up taking over for what Revengers wanting to do, because it feels like most of the fights, Jin was the focus when Kedira was making the most damage. And they didn't realize this until it was way too late. Because yes, you picked up the Kedira, but now when the Jin finally became a menace, no one was able to lock him down and control him. And that's exactly how it went so positive for them.
Yeah, you know what the ultimate of Yin is called? It's called my turn. So like once you get locked in on that domain, or that we call it boxing ring before because it's like a 1v1 situation, right? Like there were times that Yin Aizen Yin got punished here several times. So there was that double-edged sword for this type of composition. And I was actually thinking it's actually a good pick, right? This is the type of hero that is just the poison, especially in lower ranks, because it works so
Yeah.
well. And if you're able to play it really well, just like how Aizen did in this game, and yeah, here's the time where it actually fights you back, right? If you actually don't get it right. But there are times that it actually works, and you can actually see it later on. There were actually some highlights here for Aizen, the Aizen Kufra, as well as Sherry Rosa. Actually, these are the two heroes that really gave Team Axe a very hard time in the early game.
Yeah, I would say the Kufra particularly was so crisp in how they were forcing the engages. That initial first blood was all on how the Kufra played it off really, really well. But this was such a big fight. They find multiple kills. Actually, this is an even bigger one because they find multiple kills thanks to the setup from the Banting, and then you see there the Kadita just deleting immediately the Popo. You can not withstand or a long team fight when your carry gets deleted that way. Bruno was able to last way longer than Popol ever did in any of those fights because the Kadita was always deleting the Popol. Popol wasn't a factor at all.
Yeah, I think here's the thing too about Revengers, right? Who do we actually take who do you actually look out for, right? Like, is it Nano Sex's
Yep.
Kadita or is it even the Yin? Because there's just so many things going on. There was a nice shutdown here by Aizen, but then again, it's not enough, right? This was the turnaround here for Team Axe, where Aizen, the Yin, actually picked up a double kill. He actually locked up Solo there. If he didn't, it would actually have extended the game so much more longer than it actually would have been. But
Yep.
overall, it was a very risky pick. Actually, TDS, I would say uncontemporary for the side of Team Axe, but it worked out really well for them. Even though there were times that Aizen Cien was punished, but overall, good game, good engages. Kudos actually to the new players that were fielded here by Team Axe, R4
Yep.
and Nanos X on the Kadita.
Agree. Like they did a really good job, and particularly Nano's X. He came in on the second game, pretty much kind of carried it out with the kills, with the amount of plays that they were able to pull off, and overall great performance. And talking about the out of nowhere pick, it's important to mention how it shows that they had a plan. Yes, it didn't work out at the start, but the overall plan was there, and they were trying to execute on it, and at the end were able to execute on it really effectively. And this makes them a bit scary because it doesn't feel like there's a lot of teams that want to go for similar plans like this. So now it makes him so that, do you want to ban the Jin? Are you going to consider the Jin as a ban at this point against Team Axe? That's the scary part to think about, apart from all the other bans that you have to pull through.
So even though the Nolan makes its debut, it actually doesn't work. I think the last time this actually made an appearance, it was like a back-to-back win. So Nolan wins case, but I think this time there's a new
Yeah.
challenger. It's actually gonna be Yin, utilized really well by Aizen. So looking at his items, he actually only built one defensive item, right? Like picking up the immortality just in case he gets caught up,
Explains
like right
why.
in between the turret. But yeah, look at this, like 11-5-3. All those five that's actually I think were from the early game. So yeah, kudos to Team
Yeah.
Axe for having. I think this is a pocket pick from them, right? Because they were anticipating that their opponents will actually ban away Eisen heroes. They banned away the Fanny, they banned away the Lancelot. So we were all thinking, will Eisen actually go back to like tanky junglers, right? But no, he's like, no, I actually have something else. I actually have the Yin here, which actually was such a menace to deal with, especially if you're the Gord, if you're the Popple and Cooper, right? Like, I think countless of times, I think Silence would have been so annoyed at that point, right? Like either getting assassinated by the Kadita or getting assassinated by Aizen's Yin.
Exactly. Overall, just making the most out of their assassins the best possible. And I also think, if I'm not wrong, a couple of the kills that Jin suffered, or the deaths that Jin suffered, were from him opting into the ultimate, right? Like he just took people into it, didn't get anything, and ended up dying. Which is ironic considering what the Jin is supposed to do, right? But overall, it
Mhm.
does end up working out really, really well. He does find the value, and it makes Team
Mhm.
Axe scarier team to try and face around. As we know the results of today's matches, they were previously on the score, but the two teams, Team Axe and Team Boyd, and Boyd Esports, winning today, and hope we get to see more of them in the near future.
Yep, we're actually going to be seeing more of them as they move forward here in our
Yeah.
tournaments. They're going to be going to the quarterfinals here for Q2. So we're actually going to be seeing more of them for Void and Team Axe in the next stages. But speaking of course, they're all fighting for a prize pool of 1,200. The first placer gets 650, second placer gets 300, third placer gets 150, and the fourth placer gets $800, $950 in cash, and $250 worth of Arena Esports points. So yeah, if you guys still want to join in, we still got a couple more weeks, so be sure to check out Arena Esports' Facebook page and website for more information. And here you have it. We're just here in our roadmap. Invitational qualifiers are done, so we have two teams moving forward, and we're also going to be having the open qualifiers as well to find out who will be final six teams that will be joining in the teams here in the invitational qualifiers in the quarterfinals Q2.
Exactly. There's still more tournaments playing, more teams to see, more qualifiers to end up looking till we reach the final point, which are the playoffs, as you see in the roadmap. There's still a lot of MLBB to be able to see, and a lot more opportunities for everyone out there that still wants to try and see what they can do or what they can showcase here in this tournament. And hopefully, we get to see more teams like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the thing too about here is what really makes it exciting is that there's always like a monthly finals, and even the monthly finals actually
Yeah.
feels like the playoffs already. But there's only going to be 8 teams eventually from all of these monthly qualifiers or all of these monthly finals that will be proceeded to playoffs and then eventually moving towards the grand finals. So yeah, it's going to be a long, yeah, it's gonna be a long road here for Arena Esports, and yeah, it's gonna be TDS and of course me. We're not gonna be going away. We're gonna be keeping you guys company until, of course, the very end. But that's it for today's matches here. TDS, any final thoughts here before we head out?
I would say, apart from the fact that I'm looking forward to watching more of these teams playing as much as possible, I'm kind of interested in seeing how what else we're going to get the longer the tournament goes. Because not only or the longer we get more tournaments and see how the meta keeps on evolving. Because apart from the tournaments, we do know that there's the professional leagues over the world already kind of reaching the later parts of their seasons. So probably we're not going to get a lot of great opportunities to see what the meta is going to look like, at the very least for now. So I'm excited to see what is going to evolve, what is going to come out. Will Nolan keep on being permabanned, or will we see more answers to it after especially watching it lose out today here? So I'm excited to see what the teams will try and improve on and look for in the meta and find answers to a lot of a lot of the heroes.
Yeah, I think I also believe that a couple of the support heroes, will they still shine in the latter stages of the patch, right? Because after eventually, like you see all these
Yep.
OP heroes, they eventually get the nerf hammer after a while. So yeah, I have to see that, and it's gonna be a
Yeah.
long road here, TDS. We're gonna see a lot more games here, but that's it for us today here. It's Burger Kim and TDS. See you guys once again in the next Arena Esports. Sports is powered by Etisalat. Thank you so much to our strategic partner AD Gaming, as well as our broadcast partner, Playtonia Esports. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this live stream. See you guys again in the next qualifiers as we close out this day. Bye bye, and see you guys next time. Thank you. Woo!
Hey, never doubt we hey, and never dead,
Understandable.
Hey, trying to play my game, same
Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound, everybody get down. Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound, everybody get down when we give it to you. Around with the rhythm, it's a sound, the rhythm, it's a sound, with the rhythm, it's a sound, the rhythm, it's a sound. Get down, come on, get down. Get down, come on, get down. Get down, come on, get down. Get down, come on, get down.